freak.
You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is Luca. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. Another Sunday, another show, another day on this planet. And as I said, when I took this commitment to be on the air, something that really I didn't see it coming, I didn't really look for it, I took it as an opportunity to have a microphone, or even better, a megaphone in this case, to try to scream to humanity, to anybody who's listening, not just to the local audience of KTOX, but also through the internet, around the world, that humanity, it is under attack. We are under attack. I don't care if you are from America or from France, Italy, we're all under the same type of global tyranny plan. Now, look around. It's happening everywhere. Things that normally 40, 50 years ago, even things weren't perfect, but you could never imagine. Now we have a class of, I don't even want to call it humanity, because for me they're kind of like devils, but let's say a class of them, an elite, they can get away with almost everything they want. They can commit crime in plain view. They can destroy the Pentagon in plain view. They can bring down towers in plain view. They can assassinate people in plain view. They can commit crimes like, for example, Hillary Clinton in plain view, and nothing really happens to them. I wonder sometimes if really it is true that they're using, the elite is using the science, technology to control the masses. And I already talked to you about many times, bringing different proofs and evidence that we know that through education that I call mass re-education, the school system is not about educating, but it's about programming your mind. Of course, that's part of the plan. The television is another instrument patented as a mind control. We know that. Food, all this GMO and this aspartame destroy probably your brain. But there is much more, I believe. There is much more. Of course, the estrogen in the meat, is going to make you completely like, no more a man. But that's another story. I really believe that they're using, and there are proofs and evidence. That's why when I bring you things on the show, I don't talk about opinions. I don't talk about feelings. Always talk about things that I can prove. And it's been proven that in the last 40, 50 years at least, not just the U.S. government, but many governments, but in this case we will talk about this government, what's supposed to be our government in America, is been using technology to mind control civilians, or even in military operations. And we have declassified documents. Now, I will bring with you today two guests, people that, one man that I know very well, has been, for me, a brother in freedom. I met him in 2014 at the Bandis. So in case we disappear one of each other, just because we exercise our First Amendment, you know what happened. His name is Ken Rhodes. He's been also on my show several times. Then there's another gentleman that Ken is bringing with him to try to help us out, to try to help me out, to bring you facts. Now, you listeners, you can do whatever you want with this information. I'm not even asking you to believe it or not. If you want to, turn the radio off. If you think this is a laughable matter, I couldn't care less. But if you're a human being who is concerned of what's going on and wants to find answers, why this is happening, why are we letting this happen? I mean, our founding fathers probably, they would have been revolted way before. We never, are you kidding me? King George couldn't get away with all the stuff this Congress and this man acting as a president is doing, and the man before him. Okay? So there must be something. And today I really want to touch the angle that we believe that some of us, but many of us, we are already under mind control. Ken Rhodes, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Luca. I want to thank you for having us on the show.
Thank you. You're welcome. Please introduce. I would like to introduce your friend. Introduce yourself. please. I don't want to destroy your last name. I'm always so good about forgetting last names. Go ahead, please, Dave.
Okay, my name is David Brinsko, and I am in Buffalo, New York right now. I'm talking, and I really appreciate the time that you're giving us on your broadcast, Luca. And I hope that we can come to, a good consensus before the end of this broadcast.
Yes, and as I said, I'm not here to convince anybody, because at this point, the evidence is out there. It's about for the listeners, for humanity, to decide if they have the courage to find the truth. The truth is out there. They need to just to look for it. And we try to help them out. That's it. Now, Ken, where are you calling from, Ken? Are you from Michigan right now?
Yes, I'm in Michigan right now. I just got back from Burns a few days ago, but I'm in Michigan now.
Okay, so we have Ken from Michigan, and we have Dave from New York State. Now, let's introduce, before we go ahead, because I'm going to ask you, you're probably going to do most of the talk here, okay? I ask some questions, of course. I wanted to play a short little video that I found online, that I think it says some very important names and keywords that I'm sure you already know, but maybe the listeners, they are not aware. I wanted to play that. It's about 4 minutes, and then we can start with questions, and you can start to bring your own cases and evidence. Okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, let me play this. This is about called CIA, Microwave Weapons, Mind Control, and a Secret Dirty War. Here we go. The new Phoenix program.
The Vietnam War was the formative experience for a generation of CIA and military intelligence personnel involved in the Phoenix program. They viewed the military defeat in Vietnam as a betrayal on the home front, a loss of will by domestic political enemies, not a military failure against a nationalistic revolution fought as a guerrilla war. The Phoenix program, assassinating suspected VC sympathizers in a systematic manner, worked well and is the blueprint for the current black operation targeting thousands of loyal Americans using state-of-the-art microwave and radio frequency radiation weapons. The motivation to suppress domestic dissidents and to assassinate loyal American opposition stems from the perception of dissent against the war as treason. This philosophy is stated very clearly in the Mind War paper written by Michael Aquino. The Department of Defense has a huge stake in futuristic technology that kills by ionizing and non-ionizing radiation, leaving little or no trace. The indiscriminate killing of the Phoenix program continues on American soil. The terms soft kill, slow kill, and silent kill refer to the new way of killing the enemy in conflicts short of war and the small wars of the future. The counterinsurgency doctrine has now been applied to the home front so that the perceived betrayal of the military in Vietnam will not be repeated. The generation of CIA and military intelligence led by Shackley, Helms, Casey, Singlab, Secord, John B. Alexander, Michael Aquino, Paul Vallely, and others have built the perfect beast, using selective assassination that leaves no trace. The ability to cull the human herd with silent kill technology allows a few personalities to remake the entire society in their own image. Extremely low frequency technology slowly drives the target crazy with silent sound, similar to the CIA MKUltra psychiatrist Ewan Cameron's psychic driving technique used to break down the target's personality. The new buzzwords at the Pentagon are synthetic telepathy and psychotronics. Another means of attack on targets is the Smirnov patent that uses subliminal suggestion to manipulate human behavior. This patent was purchased by the remote viewing company SciTech Corporation. Military intelligence officers involved in developing these non-lethal weapons, also controls SciTech. Emotional manipulation is accomplished using Dr. Michael Persinger's work to remotely project emotional states that the brain entrains or locks onto and emulates. One can broadcast rage or fear at an individual target to manipulate and control them. As if these methods were not enough to torture and murder people, add to this nightmarish toolbox active gang stalking. CIA-created cults and other cause-oriented groups are used by actively harassing them in public in a neutralization technique described in counterintelligence operations manuals that are aimed at enemy agents. In the race to develop a new weapon, it has always been necessary to test it on human beings. Perfecting the latest weapons designed to kill slowly and silently, as well as perfecting the process of controlling the human mind, are no different. Once the weaponry has been perfected on these few thousand people, the same techniques will be applied en masse to the general population and then to humanity as a whole.
Okay, guys, are you still there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what do you think?
Dave,
What do you think? Is out of lunch this person, or you think he's bringing some real facts and evidence? I want your opinion.
No. He's bringing real facts and evidence. And Dave will talk about the DOD directive because that fits right into what they were saying.
Okay, let's start with Dave. Dave, I give you the floor. Think about you're talking to anybody who's listening now on the air, but also in the future. I will upload this on YouTube. And I want to be sure this is on record. Because why I'm doing this? Because I want to be sure that some of us on record, we are talking about, we are in the March 2016, exactly the 13th of March, okay? We were aware of what's going on, and we tried to warn humanity. And I hope in the future, when they listen to this message, we have won this battle. But meanwhile, we need to put it out. So I give you the microphone. Dave, you make your case. I ask you please to bring as much evidence that we can talk about it. So the good people, the good listeners, that they have a good heart, but they're still ignorant. It means they don't know the facts. I'm not trying to bring them down. They can do their researches, and I hopefully when they find out that this is true, the only thing I ask, to wake up your fellow human, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your son, your neighbor. That's the only way we're going to stop this evil. We need to know the truth, what they're doing to us. Here we go, Dave. You got the microphone. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Okay. You said something a couple minutes ago, and I'm going to say the same exact thing, you see. First of all, I want to say I've been an activist since I was 17 years old. I consider myself a researcher. I also consider myself a minister of the gospel, and I am a ordained elder in the Seventh-day Adventist Worldwide Church. And what I'm about to say, I'm not asking anyone to believe what I'm saying. I just want them to remember what I'm saying. If they can do that, at some point, they're going to find out more and more and more. And just like Kenny and I were talking, people will come up to us maybe 5, 6, 7 years later and say, I thought you were crazy when you were talking about things like this, but now I know that you were telling the truth. And it's going to come out. My thing is I'm just hoping that it's not too late. Everybody I talk to that's in the field of this type of technology tells me it's too late. The reason being is that they were doing the same thing in my grandmother's generation. That would be electronic harassment, okay, the psychotronics and all the various weapons and information technology. They were injecting, in my grandparents' generation, which was post-World War II, they were injecting them with all sorts of radiation, plutonium and, all kind of things, 90 times the normal dosage that a person should get. At that time, that generation was screaming out in nursing homes and hospitals that were working in collusion with the government, especially the Department of Energy. This was called the Department of Energy experiments. And what was going on there was that they were conducting these experiments to see how an individual, a human body, would react to all sorts of radiation. Okay, and even though they were screaming out, and they didn't scream out for 1 or 2 days or 1 month or 2 years or 10 years, this went on for 30 years. It went on from the 40s until the 70s, until the government, our senators and our congressmen, backs were against the wall. They had to say something. They had to do something. And this is when they exposed this research project by the Department of Energy, okay? And when that person came out, who came out, and she said they thought that they were doing the right thing, okay, by killing some 500,000 people. See, the people, they look at, they say, well, the experiment that was conducted was somewhere in the neighborhood of 500,000 people. But when they finally settled the lawsuit, they only found one person, okay, that was part of the experiment, okay? They found 11 families of the victims, okay? But they never talked about the other 500,000 people, what happened to them. They literally wiped out 500,000 people. In fact, it was to the point where the Government Accounting Agency, the GAO, said that it was a lot more than 500,000, but they just stopped it at 500,000. My point is that they're continuing these same experiments because we don't put a stop to it. We don't put a stop to it in the United States of America. We outnumber them, in a huge amount, but nobody's doing anything. We let our legislators, our congressmen and our senators, get away with things that should not be happening. They make up laws overnight. They vote on them at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when everybody's sleeping, okay? And they think that we're just, that we're just ignorant. But the bottom line is that it's still going on.
Yes, I have a question. Oh, sorry, Dave. Go ahead. And then I have a question for you. Finish your thought. I have a question after. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. The question is, first of all, what you're saying, it is nothing but the truth, because you can find out the declassified documents. And, even an immigrant like myself with a kind of a poor grammar and sometimes terrible accent, I was able to find out that the last 20 years, okay, let's say 40, but doesn't matter. The U.S. government, since the 50s, there are so many declassified documents of completely, I say criminal, because when somebody's doing chemical or bioweapons or germ warfare experiments on a civilian population without their consent, for me that's criminal. So you can find out, any one of us can find out hundreds of cases, at least the last 50 years, of documented test of very dangerous substances. In this case, could be biological, also could be also chemical, on the population. And they said the next 20 years, the military will conduct more than 240 germ warfare tests over populated areas. So this is something that it is so out there. My question for you is, why you think they're doing this to us? After all, they're supposed to be our people. Why you think the military-industrial complex, in this case, that President Eisenhower warned us so much, why you think they want to kill us, or at least the risk in our lives?
Well, I talked to a physicist by the name of Dr. Henry Nichols, and I asked him the same question, okay? Anytime you have a research project, okay, they usually last somewhere around 30 years. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But he told me, he says, remember this. He says, testing strength and consistency of control over time. Testing strength and consistency of control over time. Now, this electronic harassment, okay, is just a part, okay, of a much larger piece of a puzzle. In other words, I call it information technology, I call it information weapons, I call it information warfare. There are many, I could write volumes on this stuff, but I just want to just give you a brief rundown, okay?
Okay.
This testing the strength and consistency of control over time, okay? This information technology is what Dennis Kucinich, okay, he was the former congressman from Ohio. He proposed a bill, 2977. He proposed it, but it was killed. It was shot down, okay? And it's shot down for a reason, the same way Senator John Glenn. He proposed a bill, okay, for requesting consent forms for anybody who's being researched on. Now, these old documents, like the directive, the Department of Defense Directive 5240-1-R, okay? This is an old directive. This directive goes way back to December of 1982. They were telling people then that they have the right, okay, to experiment on you, and you really don't have anything to say about it, okay? And I'm going to read just a quick piece of this, okay?
Yes.
And I got to pull it up on my computer here. It says, experimentation is conducted on behalf of the Department of Defense intelligence component, okay? If it's conducted under contract or a component or another DOD component, for a benefit of intelligence component or at a request of such component, regardless of the existence of contractual relationship. Experimentation in this context means any research or testing activity involving human subjects, those considered unwitting, those targeted for surveillance, and those charged with a crime that may expose such subjects to the possibility of permanent or temporary injury, including physical or psychological damage and damage to the reputation of such persons. Okay, keep that in mind. In other words, they're going to get you, and they're going to come at you, you're going to come at your family from every direction, including physical or psychological damage and damage to the reputation of such persons, beyond the risk of injury to which such subjects are ordinarily exposed in their daily lives. Now, you know, you don't go out in your daily life and you're not exposed to what they're talking about in this directive, okay? At the bottom of the directive, it says, experimentation on human subjects conducted by or on behalf of a Department of Defense intelligence component may be undertaken only with the informed consent of the subject, in accordance with guidelines issued by the Department of Health and Human Services, setting out conditions that safeguard the welfare of such subjects. Now, if that were true, okay, Senator John Glenn, before he retired from the Senate, he would not have proposed a bill, S-193, which in essence said that you have to have a consent form before you can do research on an individual, a human being. Okay, it wouldn't have been necessary if this were true. Okay, but what happens here, Luca, is that when you start talking about hearing voices, okay, and that's another one, hearing voices, it's called V2K. I personally don't like V2K. In other words, voice to skull, okay? I don't like that terminology, but this is what V2K is, and it can be found out in the, excuse me, they're messing with my throat right now, and by the way, I am being victimized for the last 32 years, okay, 11 months and 11 days as of today. This has been going on in my life. But I'm going to get through this. We're going to talk about this. V2K, voice to skull, okay? There's a patent number from the U.S. Patent Office. It's U.S. patent number 4877027. Okay? Now, you just plug that in to the U.S. Patent Office, and they'll explain the V2K thing. At some point in time, they're going to shut all this down. So whoever is interested in the slightest, they should put these things down and go to and get this information while they can, because this is proof positive right here. And I'm not just talking about this to make my mouth make a noise. I have talked to former CIA, Mark Phillips. I talked to him. I've talked with Ted Gunderson, who was a former senior special agent in charge of the FBI. I have a friend right here in Buffalo, New York, who worked for the Erie County Sheriff Department, and he told me that they have all these technologies, some or all of these technologies, in the Sheriff Departments from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, okay? and it's all about the software. Some have all the software, some don't have all the software. In other words, if you were to, you might be hit with V2K, okay? If the software enables you to get into that system, fine. If it enables you to get into the acoustic end of it, fine. If it enables you to get into the microwaves, fine. Infrasound, kinetics, all these weapons, they're all weapons, and they will kill you. This is a big thing right now. See, these information technology specialists, as they're called, once they're trained, okay, while they're being trained, if they mess up, okay, and don't do the right thing, they can easily kill you. They can easily make you commit suicide, okay? They can make you do, in other words, I don't call it mind control, Luca. I call it manipulation. This is what former Congressman Dennis Kucinich called it, manipulating a person, okay? Now, let me explain something to you. When they have you, okay, and say that you're in a county building, okay? I have to back up just a minute.
Okay.
This technology, okay, it's been given over. I have some information here. It was in the Washington Post. It was in the Washington Times. Okay, it was in a directive by the National Institute of Justice. Okay, in 1993, March of 1993. I have this information right in front of me here, but I'm trying to collect my thoughts because of the fact I want to cover so much, and I've only got a little bit of time. But I thank you for the time that you are giving Ken and me tonight. But the bottom line is that Janet Reno and then Secretary of Defense John Deutsch signed an agreement, okay, that stipulated that they would share these technologies of weapons of warfare, okay, with local law enforcement, okay, more specifically sheriff departments, okay, because sheriff departments run the county. They run the county. You got some 3,007 counties, and each county in the United States of America is represented by a sheriff. That sheriff is responsible, okay, for every citizen in their county. Make no mistake about it. In other words, they are getting information. I'm going to explain to you how they get that information, okay? They get this information, okay, through extremely low frequency. Now, you can pull, extremely low frequency up on the bill by Dennis Kucinich, HR 2977. They talk about ELF, extremely low frequency. And the reason for that is that your brain operates on a very extremely low frequency. And the way Ted Gunderson explained it to me, he explained this to me in June of 2006. Okay, when I sat down with him in Washington, D.C., because we rallied down there in 206. He explained it, okay, by saying, I don't want you to get analytical, David, okay, because, see, these guys that invented this technology decades ago, okay, these guys are smart. The bottom line is that you don't have to get analytical. I just want to give you a simple illustration and just go with it. He explained it to me like, say you're in your in your car, and you turn your radio on and you want to get to your favorite radio broadcast. So you're tuning in your favorite radio station. Now, when you establish resonance, once you establish resonance, you have your favorite radio station. I don't know what your car, maybe not, but a new car, you can just push a button and lock that station in. Basically, just lock it in. So the next time you come back to your car, you can turn your radio on, you can hit the button, and you'll have your favorite radio station. This is the basics, okay, of what's going on. They are transmitting an extremely low frequency that's compatible from the sheriff departments around the country. I'm going to use the sheriff departments, but local law enforcement has it, the state has it, the feds have it, but I'm going to talk at the county level because this is where I deal with individuals at the county level. These individuals have to be exposed. These individuals are the ones that have been doing most of the damage, okay? And we have good sheriffs, which far outnumber the bad sheriffs because, see, the bad sheriffs are making a great deal of money. I mean, millions and millions and millions of dollars. But the good sheriffs won't talk about it, you see, because of the fact that they feel that these other sheriff departments have done so much vile acts as reprehensible. It's appalling what's happened here, but they don't want to talk about it because I talked to my friend right here in Buffalo, New York, who was a deputy sheriff for 32 years. He said, yes, we have it, and the other surrounding counties have it too. In other words, we have 62 counties in New York State, and the surrounding counties have the same technology. That's the network. They've linked. They've cross-linked. And this is what it's all about. But the bottom line is, once they emit this extremely low frequency, this technology is omnidirectional. You can lock or you can lock into a whole region of people, okay? And once they do this, they lock you in. And at that time, they're locking into your visual cortex, and they're locking into your auditory cortex. This is where we get the V2K. In other words, they can drive you crazy, okay, talking to you. In fact, General Parole, back in the 40s, he said that they believed they were working on an experiment where they could talk to a person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, in order to drive this person insane, basically, or to kill him. They believed that they could actually, at some point, the person would die, but just from talking, for 24 hours a day. Cameron, you talked about Cameron a little while ago. Dr. Cameron, in the Montreal 9, he did the same thing. Continual tapes all the time. The Montreal 9, of course, they were exposed by a team of lawyers, Law, Lichtman, Turner, and Levy. More specifically, Levy, he was on his deathbed. He decided to pick up the case, but he wasn't able to carry forth on the case. What he did was he turned it over to his paralegal, who did most of the running around, and proved that, yes, it did happen. The Montreal hospitals and nursing homes were working in collusion with the CIA, okay, and it all came out, okay. And so Montreal 9, they got $700,000, okay, for all that torture, okay. Now we're talking something different. We're talking information technology. We're talking information technology that is being used, okay, to actually encase an entire county after county after county, some 3,077 counties, and this is just not here in the United States. It's going out across the globe. Okay, this is everywhere. Okay. And you got people that are good, that want to speak out, but they're afraid. Once they start speaking out, okay, they're tortured. Okay, the same way I've been tortured, the same way Ken's been tortured, the same way we got 9,000 people on a list that have signed the list, okay, stating that this is going on. And they haven't signed any consent forms, okay? They never signed the consent form on me. And these other people, these other 9,000 plus people, okay, and there's like tens of thousands of people. But these people are scared. You cannot be scared, Luca. You have to speak up. You have to stand for the truth, even if you're the only one standing. Martin Luther King said, it's not the appalling, it's not the, I'm trying to think of the exact words that he used, but he says, these people, the bad people, okay, this is not about the bad people, talking and speaking up. He says it's the appalling silence of the good people. The good people that know about this aren't doing anything whatsoever.
Exactly.
Okay? Just like
Dave,
in the Montreal 9, just like in MK Ultra,
Dave,
just like, in the Department of Energy experiment.
Let me stop you 1 second. 1 second only, Dave. I want to interact 1 second. Because the listeners that are coming out, probably right now, they're out of the blue, they're turning the radio, say, what's going on here? What we're talking about here, guys, it's about facts, evidence that there is a science, there is a technology, unfortunately used for very nefarious purposes that can control the mind of the individuals. And they can start to, and this is all proved and patented. I mean, there's also much evidence out there. They can start to project sounds, messages, also harassment in your brain from a distance. And it's been proven that it's been used by organization that's supposed to work for the government, but I believe at this point they don't belong anymore to this government, to harass political dissidents, to assassinate, to create patsies. And the reason why this is so important, because unfortunately I really believe that is this not more used by just for, let's say, I don't even want to call it legit, because this is a very terrible weapon, but let's say in war, you use things that you want to use for winning the war. Now the war, it's on us, the American people, and also people from around the world. So I think this is an instrument that they already been using it the last at least 40 years to subdue the population and to make them somehow docile slaves. Now, talking about these beaming voices, talking about these, patents, because I see more and more evidence that this is almost all technology. I mean, it's out there, of course. Just to be sure I got it down right, they can somehow find your person. Everybody has a different emission of let's say, wave, right? I mean, my body is different from yours. My brain waves is different from yours. Like there is a signature. Am I right or wrong, Dave?
Very, very close, though. It's very close, but they have the technology, okay? It's so intricate, okay? It's so fine-tuned that, that they can lock in anybody, you, me, anybody, and it's omnidirectional. That's very, very important because they talked about this on CBS in 1996 on the 60 Minutes, okay? And they explained a lot of stuff. Okay, we have to weed through, okay, the junk, okay, if you ever see that video, Shoot Not to Kill, CBS, 60 Minutes, okay? Wow. Steve Clark anchored that particular episode, okay? Yes, to answer your question, okay, this V2K, you're talking about V2K, voice to skull, once they lock plane that is extremely low frequency. Once they lock in, okay, they not only can lock into your auditory cortex, they can lock into your visual cortex. Now, John St. Clair Acquis, whom I spoke to in 1992 when he came against the NSA, told me emphatically, it says right here, without any contact with the subject, remote neural monitoring can map out electrical activity from the visual cortex of a subject's brain and show images from the subject's brain on a video monitor.
Wow.
NSA operatives see what the surveillance subject's eyes are seeing. Visual memory can also be seen. Our remote neural monitoring can send images direct to the visual cortex, bypassing the eyes and the optic nerves. NSA operatives can use this surreptitiously to put images into a surveillance subject's brain while they are in REM sleep, okay, for brain programming purposes. While a person is sleeping, they can do this.
Dave, 1 second.
Dave, let me say something here because Luke asked a question on that.
I was going to ask to Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
Look, they can take one person out of 10,000. You can have 10,000 people out on the street, and they can hit one person, and nobody else around them will hear it. That's what's so dangerous about it. Now, that person goes and tells their family, their loved ones, that they're hearing voices. First thing they do, they take them to a psychiatrist. Then they start drugging them. They put them in a mental ward to be more experimented on. That's the danger of this technology. And also, on the DOD directive, you can go to gmn10.com. And I got the whole article. It's like 123 pages that every American could be experimented on. Now I'll let you get back to Dave.
Dave, let me ask something because I wanted to ask something to Ken. And I have my own answer. I have my own opinion, but I'd like to ask you guys. We were talking a little bit before, but I would like to go more specific. Why and who exactly you think is doing this to us? Because the plan, it is not good. This is not about to have a special weapon to use in case for national emergency or national security. This is about use this weapon against good people, the American people, and any other people, civilians around the world. Who is behind and why? What is their final goal? Ken?
You're asking me. I think it's not about the money, Luca. It's about the total control of the population. And I'm not just talking about total control of the population of the United States, which that is the biggest goal. But it's total control of every country to be under one government. That's what I think it's all about.
And you, Dave, what do you think?
Oh, I agree what he says, but right now, it's all about the corporations. It is about money right now because they're making huge sums of money. Okay, we have to understand this is very, very deep here. Okay, let me give you an example. Okay. We have millionaires and billionaires right now. Okay, a lot of this research goes on in prisons and institutions and hospitals and all county hospitals. Okay, a lot of this experimentation is going on. Okay, now if you take the correctional system, you have millionaires and billionaires. Okay, working the system with this technology. Okay. Now, you put these individuals in prison. Now, they're working, before they even get to prison, they're manipulated into copping out, okay, to a crime sometimes that they didn't even commit. Okay, we have heard about all these individuals running into problems like Sandra Bland and a lot of individuals, it's crazy. But the bottom line is once you get into prison, these millionaires and billionaires are building prisons by the hundreds. Okay, by the hundreds, and it falls under one of the systems that's being managed by Corrections Corporation of America. Now, these individuals are on the stock market. They're in the stock exchange. Okay, you can look it up right now, and you can see where these individuals, just at this end, okay, as far as the corrections, they are manipulating all these people. Okay, now you can condemn a lot of people for saying, well, they're using sweatshops in Thailand and Indonesia and these third world countries, but we're doing the same thing right here. Okay, while they're making millions of dollars on the stock exchange. Okay, right now I think it's at $27 or $28 a share. This is Corrections Corporation of America.
We're talking, Dave.
Okay.
Let me stop you 1 second. We're talking about the private prison system, correct?
We're talking about individuals who are building prisons and allowing the county, the state, and the feds, okay, to fill them up.
Yes, but my point is, now the real situation is that the state, it is no more managing and administering the prison system, but they are private corporations. That's the scary thing, that they are building this prison, they are managing these prisons, and then, of course, they lobby the legislations to create more laws to put more people in jail because they need to keep pretty much the 95% expectancies full prison. Otherwise, they're going to sue the state. So you think that's part of the people behind for this program?
Most definitely. This is all part of it. I'm just giving you a little piece of a puzzle.
Okay.
A much larger puzzle. Okay.
No.
This is just one little piece. Okay, but I just threw that in there because of the fact that it's so widespread right now at this control mechanism. They're out to control the entire United States. They're out to control the whole globe, okay, of people. And, I have dealt with Germany and France and Australia. I've listened to all these people. For 32 years plus, I've talked to these people from all parts of the globe, and they're all saying the same thing.
Dave, let me stop you 1 second. Let me stop you 1 second. I have so many questions I want to ask you. First of all, when did you find out that you were a person of interest, at least you were targeted by this technology?
When did I find out?
Yeah.
I found out in April of 1983, okay? I was taken into custody on a sundry, it was some sundry items, like artwork, okay? And I was placed in this institution, and when I walked in there, within just a few hours, I had blurred vision, okay? I had, my head was bleeding, okay? I couldn't figure out why I was bleeding. I went to the bathroom and I was urinating blood, okay? I had bruises all around my kidneys. Okay, you could see them right, and I mean, there's nobody around me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
How old
Nobody.
How old you were? How old you were then?
How old was I?
Yeah.
I was 35.
Okay. Now my question is, I believe completely in this technology. Okay, this is not about belief; it's about evidence. It's out there. I also want to say there are also some medical conditions. There are also a lot of things. So everything can be possible. But you, out of the blue, to find out that you were part of this program, you must have some knowledge. At the time, there was no internet. How you think that you come out with the conclusion that say, okay, I think I am part of a government program that they're trying to manipulate my brain? How did you get that?
I used to work for IBM.
Okay.
Okay. I used to work for IBM, and while I was at IBM, my brother-in-law, okay, he was in research for IBM. In other words, they worked on a lot of government contracts. He worked on things, man, that now, like in other words, they developed silicon resistors. So you could take a silicon resistor, you could pull a hair out of your head, and you could look at it, hold it up to the light, and the silicon resistor was 1,000 times thinner than a human hair.
Wow.
Okay, but yet they're able to put this type of technology into implants and stuff like that. But my thing now is that they don't need implants, okay? I mean, a lot of people have implants, okay, but they don't even need implants anymore. And this is why I wanted to explain once they lock you in the auditory and the visual cortex. So what goes on? I just wanted to explain that at some point. But go on with your question, Luca.
Yes, and also another thing, Ken, since you're there, I'd like to ask you, when did you find out that you were, according to your knowledge, part of this program? Why, Ken?
Yes, back in 1979.
And how did you, even you, there was no internet, there weren't books about this stuff. I mean, something must have told you to look in the right direction. How did you get that?
Yeah. Well, actually, Luca, I started getting what they call the gang stalking, following you around and making it obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so I knew then there's something wrong. So a few years later, when we first got the internet, I pulled it up, and that's when I found it.
Okay. And you guys, both of you, I mean, how you think they are selecting their praise? I mean, maybe for political activism, or maybe just you fit some sort of body type criteria. Must be some sort of a pattern. What do you think, David? How and why did they find people like you?
Just snatching bodies. They're just snatching bodies. They don't care who you are. I have friends that are millionaires. I have friends that are dirt poor. I have people that I've interviewed. I interviewed a state senator, David Friedland. Okay, he was a New Jersey senator. Okay, who got caught for stealing. He was union funds. Okay.
Okay.
And he went. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
He got caught once, and he took a trip. He got the money. He stole the money. He went to the islands, okay, the Caribbean, and his friends. He staged his death, okay, a scuba diving accident. His friends said he's dead. He's dead. He's dead. The FBI said no, he's not dead, and we're still looking for him. 1 year to the day, they arrested him. They put him in court. He was convicted. Okay, and the judge asked the FBI spokesman, "How did you know the Senator David Friedland, was not dead?" And they said, "We had him on the Byman-Keenan KH-11 satellite."
Wow.
Now, anybody knows that the Byman-Keenan KH-11 satellite was, in the paper, they said it was a spy satellite. Nobody said anything. They were talking about China and Russia and all these places. Nobody said that they were spying on U.S. citizens.
Wow. Question
Okay.
now. It must be a way, I mean, I hope so. I mean, why we try to share this information with the majority of people, at least enough people that we can expose, we must defend ourselves, because this is very dangerous. They can pretty much try to make you, first of all, drive you crazy, and more important, also completely shape your brain, or almost hypnotize you and make you do things or say things that you don't want. So this is very much, is that now they're doing on small scale what I really believe they want to do to all humanity, to create this world global government of zombies that with technology, the technocratic dictatorship, they can pretty much manipulate the rest of humanity with just few, computers out there. Now, what can we do, if there is anything we can do, to try to stop this sort of microwaves or whatever waves that I know there are? Normally there are microwaves that they can try to reach our brain. How can we shield ourselves, for example, in our homes? Is there a way?
Well, quite frankly, nobody, the people that I know, unless they're even millionaires, okay, to get the material, okay, there was one sure source, okay, that I know that would probably cut down the shielding process to almost zero, okay. I have a book here that I have to go get it. Ken, you talk for just a second.
Yeah, by the way, every time you talk, every 5 minutes, there is a big beep. I don't know if you, Dave, you're hearing that. Can you hear the beep?
I'm hearing it, Luca. I thought maybe it's from your end.
No, it's not my hand, so it's not Ken's hand. Must be on your hand. Normally, this beep, just to let you know, listeners, I got these beeps when I interview interesting people. Like, for example, I had William Binney, last year, or other interesting interviews, the Bundys last year, or things like that. And I realized that normally, according to the knowledge and research I did, they want to give you a message that they are recording what you're saying. And when I say they, in this case, the agencies. And I hope they're doing a good recording. And I hope they hear very well. We are waking up. Okay? That's my point.
Okay.
So, continue.
Yes, you were talking about shielding, Luca.
Yeah,
okay.
Shielding. How can we shield?
I walked into a bunker, okay? This was years ago, back in 1993. I walked into a bunker that was completely made of lead bricks, okay?
Wow.
Now, these lead bricks, they come by 2 inch, by 4 inch, by 6 inch, which each one weighs 19.8 pounds.
My God.
They also have a lead brick 2x4 by 8. Okay, in other words, 2 inches by 4 inches by 8 inches, and these weigh 26 pounds. 26.4 pounds. Okay. Now, if you can imagine a bunker, a good-sized bunker, say maybe the size of a 10 by 12 room. Okay. Or a 12 by 12 room, okay? Ceiling, walls, floor, door, everything, okay? When they shut that door, I'm telling you that you feel like $1 million. At the time, I was being targeted so hard, tinnitus, okay, at varying decibels, and listening to artificial tinnitus for 32 years, 11 months, and 11 days as of today.
Wow.
Okay, and I'm telling you that in order, I have no shielding because I'm married, okay? I don't go into, any of these Faraday cages or any kind of aluminum hats and all this stuff. I just take the beating.
Wow.
I just take the beating.
Dave,
okay?
Let me stop you 1 second. Time you got run so fast, my gosh. Listen, listeners, what we're talking about here probably is one of the most important topic. I know that it's so big and almost so incredible to believe, but this is exactly what they do. Biggest the lie, and more they believe that you will believe. Okay, guys, just to let you know, this has been edited. There was about probably completely blackout, computer froze, and the phone line went down. So I was able to save this recording, because now I'm running with the backup computers when I do these interviews. And Ken, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, Luca.
Yeah, it was strange, I'm telling you. I was listening. Every 5 minutes there was a beep on David's line. And then out of the blue, like at 15 minute 52 or whatever, was pretty much, boom, complete. No more sound. You were gone. I don't know, maybe a coincidence, but strange. It always happens when we have interesting interviews. The time is short. I want to give you the last floor. It's time to say pretty much if there is a website where people can find out evidence and learn more about this technology to control the minds of human beings by the government.
I got a real good one because it's got the DOD Directive 5240-1-R.
Okay, go ahead.
And every American should read that. That's GMNKEN.com.
Very good.
GM, I don't know if some people don't understand me because I got an accent, but GMNKEN.com.
Okay, and you know what? You send me that email with exact spelling. I will post it on the lovegunsfreedom.com. I really believe this is a very important topic because now, for example, they can do on a small scale crazy things on us, or at least they can make us look crazy. And don't get me wrong, there are also people that they are crazy, okay? Still there are people. But the point is now we don't really know when somebody's crazy and when somebody's being controlled and they made them crazy. For political assassination, for any type of mind control purposes, they are doing that. And I really believe you're right. Their final goal, after they tested on a selected group of people, they will try to apply this technology to the rest of humanity, to control humanity, to enslave humanity, so they will be part of this global government without even resisting, without even trying to fight back. That's what I really believe what is their final purpose. And also, of course, for the idea and agenda of global depopulation, they will use that too. That's another way they can completely start to kill us, or we kill ourselves. So no, just for the records, Ken, you pretty much, you're happy with your life, even with your problems, but you're never going to commit suicide, right? You don't want to kill yourself.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But you know, Nick Begich, Begich, he said when they finally turn this technology on everybody, you'll see mass suicide. Because people's not going to know what hit them, and they're going to be, and they tell the target individuals now in our group, commit suicide, and they play it over and over in their head.
Wow.
So Nick said it's going to be very dangerous when they finally turn this technology on everybody.
That's why I say you must find our own faith, regardless whatever you believe, because we must find the family, we must find the love. That's the weapons that we must use against these bastards. Listen again, I want to thank you. Please, guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, ready for our number 2, and it's all about guns and Second Amendment.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.FM Network. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.FM Network. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM Network. This is Luca Zanna, and we are in our number 2, second hour. Normally I have guests during this hour. Normally I have guests almost every hour. I work really hard to try to find people, experts, or other opinions than mine, because I really believe this is not about me. This is a show about an exchange of ideas, learning from each other. That's why I try to bring you experts, or people that they know more than I do. That's the bottom line. Because I like to learn myself. Sometimes also, though, I like to have a little bit of a break and be more intimate or more direct, and just me and you, my listeners. And I tell you, it's kind of interesting because I never felt this sensation to talk through a microphone. People that probably I never even will meet. Some of you may be around the world. Some of you may be who knows where. I know that you're listening. I can see the stats also on the website. I can see the stats on different ways. And I see there you are from everywhere. And I'm really humble about that. And I thank you. Thank you for putting up with me and my limitations. At the same time, thank you for listening and hopefully sharing the message. When I say this is the hour about guns, this is not a typical show that talks about, as I said many times, the latest technological weapons like guns or rifles, shotguns. Yes, I like to talk about that too. You know, I enjoy guns. It's not just something that I do because I have to. But the most important point that I never would like to forget, the Second Amendment is not a sport. It is not a hobby. It is for me also a duty, just to let you know, as a new American who took an oath to defend this republic and this constitution. But, you know, that's why for me the rifle, it is just an extension of your will, of your soul, of your love for freedom. That's what it is. And so the gun, and so the shotgun, it's just a tool. But yes, there are tools and tools, like there are ammunitions and ammunition. And in this hour, as I said, I like to talk from the point of the Second Amendment, of philosophy, of right, legislations, and also, of course, deals and helpful things that I hope can help you out. Now, today I want to share with you something that I think is pretty important. It is an ammunition, a brand. I found it exactly, a few weeks ago through a friend. He told me that there is this 9mm that issues incredible fast. We're talking about 2,000 feet per second, okay? Per second. And they can go through bulletproof jackets. 9mm, they can go through bulletproof jackets. First of all, I'm sure the first question coming out of some of you guys, why do I need a 9mm that can go through bulletproof jackets? And I can see already the anti-gun, anti-rights freaks. We don't need a rifle. We don't need a gun. We don't need a ammunition. Guess what? Yes, we do. Because you never know the criminal what is going to wear. He could wear also a bulletproof jacket. Let's not forget, for example, in North Hollywood, Los Angeles, I think was the Bank of America shootout, the bank robbery. I forgot exactly which year, but it was before I was even in the country. I was still in Italy. There were two bad guys wearing bulletproof jackets. And don't start to get now all excited, the liberals, that they are no liberals for me, they're the fascists. That they say, okay, we must outlaw all the bulletproof jackets. They already tried, by the way. That's not going to solve the problem. Like, you're never going to outlaw anything. Because the bad person, the bad guy, the criminal, always going to find what he needs to do to perpetrate its crime. So, we got to have, as law-abiding people, good people, the opportunity to have bulletproof jackets. And sometimes also we need to have the opportunity, it's the right, to have good ammunition, quality ammunition, that you can shoot through bulletproof jackets. That's the way you can create a safer environment. Every good man and woman may be armed with the right tools. Now, let me give you this deal. It is very good. I take a lot of time before I buy something. I must tell you, I'm kind of, I'm not cheap. I spend money, trust me. I spend more than I should sometimes. But I'm very meticulous because I work for my money. Differently from the government, they use our money, very, how you say, liberally. We as individuals, when we work for our money, we like to look for deals. And that's good. That's really good. I like that. So I've been looking around and I found this brand that is called, write it down, Liberty Ammunition. By the way, it is not a sponsor. So think about it. I take the time to find this stuff, to find you the best deals. And I'm not going to take it for me just because they are not my sponsors. I want to share with you. I want to make you save money, give you the opportunity to arm yourself right now. And I tell you also where to buy them. So the brand is called Liberty Ammunition. The package is called Civil Defense. They are in 2 caliber. I bought a 9mm, and it is very interesting round because, first of all, it's all silver. It looks like silver color, okay? It is extremely light. We're talking about 50 grains. Okay, 50 grains. Normally we have about, 115, 124 grains for the regular average for metal jacket or hollow point 9mm. This is 50 grains. Wow, Okay, you think maybe just what? Nothing. Guess what? It's loaded with high pressure, P+, okay? Plus P, excuse me. Anyway, and hollow point, it generates 2,000 foot per second speed. And we're talking about 444 foot per pounds. They're brass-cased, boxer-primed, non-corrosive, reloadable, 20 rounds per box, nickel-plated. Okay, and they have very little recoil, half the weight of the traditional rounds. They are US made, and I'm telling you, normally they go around for $24, $25 a box of 20. Normally, if you shop around, plus taxes if you buy it at your local shop. And don't get me wrong, if you want to support your local shop, that's great. But you know what? I also think you should stock up and find the best deal you can wherever you can. And if you can save on sales tax from your city, that's nothing wrong with that. Because unfortunately, they got already enough money from other sources. Keep the government small. Don't feed them too much. So legally, buy the ammo online, if you can, according to the state where you live. Now, I found this Liberty Ammunition Civil Defense 9mm plus, that they go through bulletproof jacket that you have no idea. Class 3 normally stops, 44 Magnum, 44, 40, all the air basic handgun. Basic handguns, they all stop with the type of Class 3 jacket, bulletproof jacket. The 9mm of civil defense, they go through like butter. Not only that, you have an entrance, it's pretty small, but then behind, wow, it's huge. That would be really a good round to incapacitate any bad person comes at you, try to harm you and your family with a bulletproof jacket. So let me tell you where I found them and how much I found them and how you can save a bunch of money without going to Geico. Okay? It's called sportsmanguide.com. And as I said again, even this is not my sponsor, but I like to buy stuff there. They have the best deal that I found. As members, if you're part of the club, you can become a member with $20 a year. You pay $20.42 a box of 20. Right there, you got an incredible deal. Normally, you pay $23, $24 plus taxes. So right there, you got an incredible deal, $20. Plus, you can get free shipping if you join the newsletter. They always offer you free shipping. And you won't pay sales tax unless you live in their state. I don't remember exactly which state. I think it's Michigan or something like that. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you're lucky, and I guess you got good chances to be lucky, you're not going to pay sales tax. You don't pay sales tax. You can get free shipping. You get a cheaper price. But guess what? If you spend over $150, you can make 4 payments. No interest. So let's say you want to buy a decent amount of ammo, okay? And I'll say this stuff is not going to be rounds that you shoot at the range. These are really for extreme situations, okay? So you always want to have at least a magazine on you in case there is a need. You have the special magazine that you can use to stop bad people with bulletproof jackets. So keep it just for that type of purpose. But let's say at least you want to spend at least $150. Instead of paying one time, it's going to hurt a little bit. Guess what? You join the club, and you can make 4 payments, and you can receive the ammunition immediately. So guess what? Like $40 a month or less. And you get your ammo immediately. And what I like about the 9, as I said, really there is no recoil. That's great. And also I think it's important that you can shoot with any good gun. Okay, don't shoot these rounds with inferior older guns because they are high pressure ammunition. So you want a very good functional gun. But anybody can manage the recoil. This is really good. And it's fast. 2,000 feet per second. And I'm telling you, that really makes now the 9mm, in my opinion, even a more effective round. That's what I really think is important. I suggest Anybody who has wants a 9 milliliter, to buy at least as many boxes as you can, because I really believe this round will be, unfortunately, have the risk to be outlawed from some of our criminal legislators. They will try to deny our right to keep and bear arms. That's the bottom line. So buy, stock up. It's going to be more important than gold. And I'm telling you, now when you carry a 9, you don't feel anymore like, oh, okay, I just carry a 9. Check it out. Go on YouTube. And by the way, I will do a little YouTube to show exactly what they do. This magic Liberty ammunition, 50 grain hollow point. Okay? So that's something interesting. Now, other good news, because we got to look at the good news and the bad news, of course, but the good news are good too. We can always cry. We need always sometimes laugh and smile and, irritate the opposition. Okay, if you live in Kansas, okay, and this is not Kansas anymore, somebody said, I believe that Kansas is coming back to be Kansas the way it's supposed to be. Governor Brownback signs a bill that allows permit-free concealed carry of guns, like pretty much we have in Arizona. Constitutional carry. That's really good, because now more and more new states, they are coming back to this concept. It's called the Second Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's the permit that we need. So if you are a law-abiding person, if you have no felonies, no any type of violent crime, you have that right as a human being. I don't care if you're a man, woman, or between, as I said. That's your right, individual right. And you spell it out. I don't know what difficult to think, but, I'm glad that the states, now they're waking up. So we have Arizona, of course. And now we have also incredibly great, Kansas. And, of course, Vermont was already there. And there is more, because I like to hear that more and more. Now, another one, very interesting, and that's something that give me a little joy, that there is another state that the legislators, finally, they are waking up and they're creating the right similar bill. And, of course, the governor, these governors, after all, they try to always to play, I don't know, political something. I mean, that's the will of the people. But, that's okay. That's the way system works. You want to be a little tyrant and you want to be against the Second Amendment. It's up to you. So, for example, in West Virginia, okay, state lawmakers, override governor's veto to pass what the Huffington Post call it a radical NRA-backed gun law. They call it radical. It's all perspective, okay? I call it freedom. I'm sure that now freedom is radical. It's a radical concept. So anyway, the gun owners in West Virginia now will no longer need to get a permit to have a concealed weapon. Okay? So that's amazing news. Another state standing up for freedom. This didn't happen by accident. This is happening because many of us, everywhere, even through this little radio show, and maybe there are many other radio shows like this, and your little blog, and your little activism, and you go out and talk to your neighbors, make understand that, hey, good people must have guns. Because if only, bad people are going to have guns, when you do legislation to limit the right of the keep and bear arms for the people, the bad people, they're going to love that. But more important, this is not even anymore about crime. This is about freedom. It's about a right. Okay? If somebody's crazy, he's going to always have a gun or a tool, could be a hammer, could be a knife, always going to be evil. Doesn't matter. So that's the bottom line. So I tell you, the gun owners in West Virginia, finally they got it all down like we have in Arizona and some other states. And I wish every state of this union. And then, of course, there are some states like they want to live like under, Mussolini or Mao Zedong or Pol Pot. Guess what? California, New York, stay there. Enjoy that. That's why we have 50 states. Every state should follow their own gut, their own belief. Okay? I still believe it's wrong, because if there is a federal constitution, like we have freedom of speech everywhere in all 50 states, that's a fact. We should have the Second Amendment everywhere in all 50 states. But hey, sometimes you cannot have it all. So guess what? There is always place to go around now, okay? So dear Democratic Governor Earl Ray Tomblin, you are a piece of trash, okay? That's the bottom line. But guess what? You wanted to play the fascist card. I don't call it liberal. They're fascists, okay? They're against rights. Guess what? Finally, there were enough politicians, enough elected people that override your veto. That's good news from West Virginia. Now, there is always more things going on. Now, for example, today I like to read about news. I also like to talk about a little more about this Liberty rifle, the Freedom rifle, the Don't Tread on Us rifle. It is really coming out great, so much that tomorrow I'm going to test it. Already been testing some grouping, and I would like to remind you what's going on. You should go, first of all, to the website that I would like to suggest you right now, rifletraining.tv, okay? When you go there, I'm going right now there, and you will see it, okay? There is a link, the Don't Tread on Us, the Freedom Rifle by Zan. Now people say, what the heck? Now you're doing rifles? Are you making rifles? No, I don't make rifles. The concept was very simple. I envision a rifle that could be an affordable rifle for every human being, for every American, in this case America, because this rifle is only for sale in America, of course, in the states where your laws, they're going to allow it. I wanted to have a rifle that it's a solid rifle, military-grade rifle, not anything fancy, nothing, superfluous, but straight to the bone, but efficient. A rifle for the working man or working woman, somebody that, maybe he has to wait 6 months before he can make enough payments to buy a regular AR-15 rifle. Now, this is an AR-15. There are probably so many out there that it's not even funny. But I don't know any AR-15 on the market that you can buy brand new for $499. And it works every time. There is nothing more, nothing less than the good brand rifle that normally you spend at least $1,000. Okay, let me give you some specific about this rifle, because something I think I really want to share. First of all, as I said, it's an AR-15. I'm coming out with two configurations. One, it is the classic M4 carbine. Honestly, it's not my favorite, but many people like it. That's fine. And the other one is the dissipator carbine. They have both 16 inches barrel, so that's there, very maneuverable. For the dissipator, you have something that really recalls a lot the typical M16 configuration. You have a longer sight radius. But both you have 5.56 chamber and 5.56 NATO, 1 in a 7, twist rate, and you have typical A2 flash hider. You have a 775 forge upper receiver, and the lower, it's really revolutionary. It's made of polymer, and it's made in Arizona, here in Lake Havasu, by Plum Crazy. Now, people say, made of polymer? We mean plastic? Guess what? This is not a typical plastic of your toys for your kids, okay? This is as strong as a Glock, even stronger than a Glock polymer. Now, don't get me wrong. If you like to spend $1,000 and you want to have your lower made of aluminum or whatever, metal, that's great. Nothing wrong. But this one, made by Plum Crazy, that I tested 5 years ago, the Generation 1, I tested the Generation 1 5 years ago. I have a video on the website. You can check it out. It was great. But of course, 5 years later, they got even better, stronger, more resistant, and upgraded lower. So you have a very incredible, lightweight lower, affordable. And all together with this upper, you will be able to get a real military-grade rifle, semi-automatic, of course, for less than $500, $499, okay? Besides shipping, of course. Now, this is not, you don't get just a rifle, you get more. Because the idea what it is that I had, I envision every American, every law-abiding man and woman armed, first of all, with knowledge. That's why you will receive in this rifle also a beautiful copy of a parchment of the United States Constitution. It's like an ancient parchment, beautiful. You can frame it on the wall or put it in the buttstock of your rifle. So you must remember what we are standing for our republic, for our rights. Our Constitution may be not perfect, but the best thing we have. Remember, the Constitution, all it's supposed to do is try to restrain the government. So that's really, we need it so much. So you have a copy of the Constitution. Then you have also a free digital CD, Don't Tread on Us. After all, the rifle is called Don't Tread on Us. You got a value of $10. If you buy my CD on Amazon, it costs you $10. Maybe not much, but guess what? It's my gift. And I would like to inspire you. They are very good songs, I believe. Not me. I didn't say that, but you see how many downloads and how many playing. Some of my songs I had. For example, like Don't Tread on Us, the main song. Hundreds of thousands of downloads around the world. So you get a free digital CD, immediate download. Then you have a book, ebook, that humbly I put together. The idea is to have every man with a rifle to be a rifleman. Now, not just because you have a rifle, maybe you have 100 rifles in your safe, you are automatically a rifleman. For example, I own a lot of hammers and, different type of tools, like, for example, saws and nails. But I'm not a carpenter. I'm terrible with tools. So that's my point. If you have a rifle, you must have training. I invite you, of course, to find some good educations, like some good instructors or going to schools. That's something I really invite anybody to do that. Meanwhile, humbly, I would like to share with you this knowledge that I was able to achieve. And this is going to be just the basic foundation for the rifleman, how to become a rifleman in the military tradition. So, it's basically a marksmanship book, because we cannot run until we learn how to walk. So when I say rifleman, means that for me, a person with a rifle, any type of military-grade rifle, just with a sling, being able to shoot 4 minutes of angle with the basic ball ammunition. That means at 25 yards, you must keep your group in 1 square inch with iron sight. That means if you go to 100 yards, you must keep your group in 4 square inches. And if you go to the quarter mile, that means 500 yards, you must keep your group in 20 square inches. So I will share with you all the curriculum that I learned at Appleseed. Appleseed, it's a great program, okay? I talked about that. I maybe next week a guest from Appleseed. I used to volunteer there. I didn't make it to be an instructor, but I didn't have time. I like the idea, I like the program, but my time is limited. I do what I can. But the idea is it's incredible 2 days clinics, and they want to share with you the basic foundation, the fundamentals, how to become a rifleman. So you shoot from standing, sitting, and prone. No benches allowed. And regardless which rifle you shoot, here their goal is to achieve that type of marksmanship that we were talking. So you get also the book. So you got a CD, you got a Constitution, you got a book, and you got a free laser engraved dust cover that says, "Don't Tread on Us." That's pretty much your personal rifle. Just to let you know, come with one magazine, and you have the rear sight is collapsible. And I invite you, you can also put optics. It's optics ready. You can put optics if you want. So these are the two rifles. If you want to at least, I don't say pre-order, but be inquiring to know when the rifle will be available on the market, I'll suggest you to do that. Go to Freedom, I'll do it myself right now, rifle.com. You will see there is a page, landing page, exactly that. You go and you will see the rifle and explains to you. And the next few days I'm going to upload, of course, videos and more information and more photos. Now, meanwhile, there is at the bottom of the page a little application to fill up. I don't like to call it application, sounds like the government. Anyway, a little field area. You can put your name, you can put your email, and specify which rifle would you like to be interested. Would you like the M4 or the Dissipator? And then submit. No commitment, but at least I know if when the rifle is available, I will send you an email and you can check it out. So that's pretty much the second important news. To be able to have one or more rifle for each family, we need it now. And I'm sure many of you already have a lot of rifles. But guess what? To have a little extra for the price of a handgun, to have a nice rifle, that could be also a good truck gun, a gun that you have with you everywhere you go, in the truck. And of course, if you live in states like Arizona or similar, if you're in New York, you can even have a slingshot in your car. So watch it, okay? So that's the bottom line. Now let's do a little bit of a pause, a little music, and then we continue because we got some news and more important, some training ideas. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Don't go away.
I could be what I wanna be. I found the country where I can be free. I found the country of my dreams. I'm living in America. I'm living where I'm going to find my way. Share my life. I wanna do my best.
Okay, and that was I'm Living in America. Funny, I wrote that song before even I came to America. It was exactly my last few months when I was still in Rome doing the gladiator stuff. And if you mean, what is the gladiator stuff? Go find out. You can go to my lovegunsfreedom.com and check it out. My bio. Anyway, of course, when I wrote that song, I had no idea that America was already infiltrated by communists and collectivist leeches. But that's another story. For me, America is still America. Regardless what they're doing, I want it back the way it's supposed to be. But now, let's talk about guns. This now segment, we already talked a little bit about, of course, some news. Some news, they are good. Some, they are a little bad. But we always work hard to make it better. Now, there is a little bad news that I would like to share. In Lexington, Massachusetts, I probably pronounce it so bad, but I'm sure you understand. Lexington, Massachusetts. Did I get it right? I hope so. But you know what I'm talking about. The place where our founding fathers gave their life, their blood, to face the tyrants, to get this republic going, starting this republic, this experiment. Now, these politicians in this little town, historical town of America, one of the first colonies, what they want to do, they want to propose a new gun ban. So, they want to create a new local gun ban that they will be able, in their brain, to confiscate any semi-automatic rifle with a magazine more than 10 rounds from the hands of law-abiding people. Think about it. This is the town where the freedom, the foundation of this country was started, okay? Weapons were used to start to completely remove the chain around the neck of the subjects, to free themselves from the crown. And now, the same town, 240 years later or so, what they're doing, they want to remove the concept of the Second Amendment. So this is very sad. I hope the people of Massachusetts, in this case exactly Lexington, they will be able to completely laugh first and spit on the, talking about politically of course, on the face of these politicians, okay? That they're completely infringing their basic rights and our Second Amendment right. So if this goes through, it's going to be a very interesting example of complete fascism in this little town. So will be called the Article 34, and they have an annual town meeting beginning on March the 21st. So it's happening in the next couple of weeks. And they want to pass this on the votes. That's why it's so wrong. It is so wrong. The idea of democracy. Democracy means the majority wins. It means that the 51% of the mob, of the majority, can tell you how many acre you can have, how much of your money you can keep, and what type of gun, of course, you can have. That's not supposed to be. We are a republic with individual rights, and that's the bottom line. No majority can take my Second Amendment away. You can all kiss my butt. As simple as that. All right? So this is a little bit of a bad news, but it's always a battle. Nothing new. So unfortunately, this is not going to be going away. So we got to fight back. And also now a little bit of a news about Obama and his hypocrisy. Okay, this is the news from the New American. Today I really enjoy it, by the way, reading this news, because sometimes, we have guests and we talk about very important things, but sometimes it's good to bring some facts of what's going on all together when it comes down to this topic. So Obama, Mr. Obama, the king from Kenya, owns stock in gun and ammo manufacturers profiting from his policies. This is an article written by Joe Walworton. You should read it. It's a very good article, and probably it's better that you read it. If I read it with my accent, I'm going to destroy it. So go to the New American, find this article. Okay? So what happened? Mr. Obama, first of all, of course, is the biggest, the best gun salesman that in America we ever had. His policies, his unconstitutional edicts, his push for Congress to completely create this gun confiscation and gun registration and gun control laws, all he's doing is creating, of course, a lot of, I don't want to call it fear, I call it preparedness. Be smart. Buy today when you can. So the market is going crazy. So what happens? The bastard, because he's a bastard in every way. And if you don't like, if you feel offended about, I don't care. I call Bush a bastard, and so Mussolini was a bastard, and so Hitler was a bastard, and Mao Zedong, and for me they all belong to the same place, okay? So don't get too excited. This is not about a party issue. It is not about because it's brown, not even black. I wish you were black. It was black. Okay, he's an evil bastard. That's what he is. Anyway, let's go back to that. Anyway, Obama supposedly owns some stocks that they are pretty much into guns, okay? He has up to $100,000 invested in a nearly $16 billion state pension plan, which has about $5 million invested directly in several gun and ammo makers. The retirement plan, which covers state employees, judges, and the General Assembly, also holds shares in a small-cap mutual fund with a $9.5 million stake in Smith & Wesson. Is that funny? Maybe he doesn't know. I want to give him the credit. But, meanwhile, he's making money. So much more about that. Now, let's talk a little bit about practical things with guns. Dry practice. Spring is coming. Many of us, and I say us because me too, we've been busy, with life. Didn't have enough time to go to the range, but we still must train. I talk about dry practice, or they call it dry fire, but since there is not really ammunition, not going to be any type of fire, so I call it dry practice. Already a few times. Today I want to go more specific. Exactly, I would like to talk about being slow. Why it's so important. You, me, when we train, we think that, okay, let's drink fast. Let's train fast. You want to achieve that speed later, even when you are already at some certain level. The importance to train in a very slow, extremely slow motion. It is fundamental. And it took me some time to understand it. Because if you want to be accurate, I don't care if you're with a rifle, handgun, or shotgun, you must be consistent. That means every time you draw that gun or you move the rifle from the ready position to on-target position, you want to be sure that you always do the process. Every inch that you move of your body, of the rifle, in the same way, in the best way, the most efficient way. And only if you do that thousands of times, it's going to become automatically. And it's going to become more and more accurate. So the point is, if you do that slowly, you're going to start to realize what you're doing wrong, and you can start to completely incorporate in your body as a muscle memory the type of exercise. I really believe that's fundamental because, we train, and when we go to the range, I like to train, of course, also fast. That's the idea. But I tell you, I like to incorporate some exercises that normally I do dry also, but extremely slow. People say, why are you doing so slow? Are you retarded? You already know how to do this stuff. Guess what? I really try it out. Now, talking about physical fitness, I don't go to the gym. I wish I had the time, but I don't really like gyms. I don't like all these sweaty things and people touching weights. I like my own stuff. I got my gym. The problem is I don't even have time to go to my gym. So I like to work out in this way. It's an idea. It's an exercise. Using the rifle or shotgun and handgun. That's for me the best exercise. So let me share with you some ideas, because after all, we want to be combat fit. I don't like to be mirror fit. You know, I mean, if you like to be a bodybuilder, that's great. If you like to show how, you know, your chest, how big can be, and your legs, how explosive they could look like, that's great. I mean, it's your freedom. I don't care. I like to be combat fit. That means my body, it's used to operations that normally I would do in a real combat situation. So the first thing I really enjoy to train with, it's with my rifle, because I want to blend in, become one thing with that rifle. It is no more an object. It's an extension of my arm. So, one thing I really enjoy is to jog with the rifle. People say, are you crazy? Are you jogging with the rifle? Yes, I jog with the rifle. In Mojave County, Arizona, I can jog with the rifle around my block and more, even at the park. We did that. I do that. When I don't want to go out, I jog with my rifle on my running machine. But the point is, be sure, be safe. You follow the rules. In this case, I would suggest you, first of all, to have a sling, so you do not brandish, but at the same time you hold it with your arms, but you sling it. Because if you don't sling the weapon, it could be called brandishing. And I'm not trying to give you legal advices. You go find out yourself where you live, okay? So, but you want to be sure that you follow the law. Number one. Number two, safety on. Number three, never point that barrel anywhere. So you want to start to train like you're jogging with the rifle. The barrel, the tip of the barrel pointing in a safe direction. In this case would be up, okay? Finger, of course, off the trigger, safety on. Now, running the chamber or not, it's up to you, okay? Normally, if I jog, you know, I always like to have a run in the chamber anyway. If I have a gun, I don't like to have it. But, you know, it's up to you. For safety, you don't need to. It's just my humble opinion. Starting to jog, start jogging with your rifle. What really you accomplish? First of all, you move your ass. Something important. You should move your ass with or without the rifle. People, they want to become all these, militia people and Rambo. They can't even walk around the block. Forget about jogging. So that's important. And you do, of course, according to your body type, according to your age. You don't want to die, okay? But start to measure your progress. Start to also time yourself. Consider the 1 mile, a good experiment. Because then you're going to start to see how you improve. Now, what I like about jogging or walking with a rifle, you're going to start to have, of course, extra weight. That's very important. Also, you start to have some extra exercise for your arms. Because after all, you're holding that rifle. I think that's very important too. That's the first exercise I would do as a generic form of exercise. Number 2, squatting. You know, people like to squat with the weights. I don't like to squat with weights. I like to squat with my body weight and, more important, with the rifle. So what I would suggest you could do as a dry practice exercise with a handgun, shotgun, or rifle, and maybe why not do them all together, all of 3. You put in a safe room, a room where you have no distractions, a target. Depends, of course, if you're shooting handgun or shotgun or rifle. If you have a handgun, I would put a body size target. If I shoot rifle, I would put a scaled down target, maybe about probably, 5 inches, something like that. But the idea is, regardless, you start to exercise with the squatting exercise. Why? Squatting is a very important thing because, sometimes you don't want to go prone. You have not enough time, but you want to have more support, and more important, you want to offer less surface of your body to the adversary. So you want to become a smaller target. So squatting, it's a good solution. Sometimes you can stand up fast and move. And it's good also for tactical movement, of course. So what I would suggest, I would get a chair that you simulate the chair. It's like almost a wall, okay? And you remember, you don't want to crowd the wall, the corner of the wall. You want to start at least a couple of feet away, because if you're too close, you're going to have the ricochet, okay? So anyway, the idea, you simulate the wall, and when the beep starts, or just without beep, you can start to do this type of exercise. From the ready, you go on target, in this case with gun or shotgun or rifle, doesn't matter, and you point at target while you're going down on squatting position. And you want to be as flat as possible, almost touching the floor with your butt. Try start to do this 30 times, 40 times, no stop. You start slowly, okay, go down. When you go down, you want to be on target. The idea is to be also learning and practicing to find the front side as fast as possible. That's vital, okay? As fast as you can find the front side, as fast as you can be accurate. At the same time, doing this squatting exercise, you will build a lot of good muscles for your butt, for your legs, and also some stamina, and also some good oxygenation. I challenge you to do 50 squats with a rifle. First, shooting from your, I don't want to call it strong or weak, let's say from the right side, and then from the left side. Okay? So you alternate the rifle or the handgun in both positions. Okay? Try to do 50 and 50, or 40 and 40. You will see how you feel after that. Your legs will tremble if you're not used to it. But that's a good, realistic exercise. So, jogging with the rifle, doing squatting with the rifle. Now, another thing is very good also for stretching, because we got to stretch, is start to use the position, the prone position with your rifle. So you get like a little mat, okay? You put your target probably about as many feet you can in your house. You want to have small scaled down targets. And at that point, from the standing position, depends what rifle you have, also with handgun, doesn't matter. From standing, you will go down prone. There is a technique. It unfortunately on radio is kind of a little more difficult. I will do a video about that. You can go to lovegunsfreedom.com, send me an email, I'll send you the video. And I'll post it also, of course, there pretty soon. And the idea is to go down without breaking your knees. And when you go down prone, you will see that your muscles, especially if you shoot with a rifle, to find the natural point of aim, you have all little pain because your muscles, they're going to be tense. That's one of the best exercises for me to completely relax and find also good stretching. Okay? Now, timing is very important, because if you want to go prone, you must be accurate. You don't have all day. It's not like you have 3 minutes to go prone and shoot around. You must know your limits. Normally, what you do, put a small scaled down target, okay, that reproduces, for example, 20 inches chest of the typical body at 200 yards, okay. You're going to have probably a very small, few inches target. What happened? Exactly tell you how many inches in case. Just, you might have 80 inches at 25 yards. Now, if you're living in a house, you don't have 25 yards, find something else. But you can maybe do it in the backyard. Just don't have any ammo with you, okay? Be sure that there is a wall that would stop a negligent discharge. So you know the rules for dry practicing. So the idea, though, is you're standing on the ready. Depends which rifle you have, or handgun, or whatever. And you go down on your knees, and then you go down, you put your hands down, and at that point you go flat prone. At that point, with a natural point of aim, you must find your target and try to shoot at the small scale down target in a limited time. Normally I would say 200 yards, body type shape, even if it's scaled down, still reproducing the type of sights from standing with a rifle. You shouldn't shoot more than 3.5 seconds. Okay? That's the idea. Because you don't have all day. You must go down in that time and also acquire the target, also squeeze the trigger. Okay? So that's very important, something you can do. Other good exercises I like to do, for example, with a rifle, or even with a handgun, to do some extra strength for your arms. Okay? People like to use, for example, weights to do curls. That's fine. I believe that you can use the weight of your rifle be sure that it's empty, and use the rifle as almost like a barrel, like a weight, free weight. And you can start to do 100 curls. I know you're not going to have the muscle of some bodybuilder, but you're going to feel the rifle after a few times you do that like a piece of paper. That's the idea, to create a type of fusion, union between you and that metal and plastic becomes like an extension of your body. Then also don't forget, handgun, you can do, for example, some presentation from the holster with this sort of weights that you can put around your wrist. Something very good. I think it's a good idea. It gives you extra energy also when you remove that weight, you will see. Now, if you train with your right hand, also train with your left hand. Have also an extra pouch. Practice that, because you never know in a gunfight. You may be having that, whatever hand normally you train with, may be damaged. Maybe you could have some sort of, injuries. So you want to be sure you could be effective also with the other hand that normally you don't train. Same story with the rifle. Same story if you want to do a good exercise for your shoulders. Use the rifle as a barrel. As a barbell. The barrel. And lift it in front of your head and behind your head. Wow, that was a good sneeze on the air. Sorry about that. And do that in an explosive way. 50, 60, 100 times. Find your limit. You will find out that probably, you know what? You will see your little muscle really getting full of pain the next day. That's a good sign. But that's great. You're going to start to really feel this sort of fusion, a union between you and your weapon. There are many other exercises, but the idea is, whatever weapon you have, practice with. Now, another thing I like very much, maybe I already talked about that in the past, if you do some training at the range, very fun, don't just blast the ammo, work for it. Work hard, set some rules. For example, when I go to the range, and there is the 200 yards range, my rule is I can shoot all the rounds that I can jog. For example, I have to shoot one round, standing, going down prone at 200 yards at the target. Boom. I always, of course, check the time. I don't have all day. I always try to set time limits, try to improve. And then I gotta jog 200 yards to go there to verify exactly where I hit it. I need to mark it, tape it, and jog back. So for every round I shoot, I jog or walk fast at least 400 yards. You start to do shooting 20 rounds, you do the math. How many yards did I jog? Pretty neat, eh? So that's good. Normally when I shoot 20 yards, I come back home, I can't wait to go to some huge pasta meal, okay, and wine. At least I work my ass, and I love that. I don't need to go to the gym. And for me, it's much more fun, go to the gym and stare at the mirror. What the heck? I go to the range, I jog with my rifle. That's a good exercise. Now, another thing I like, push-ups, if you're in physical condition to do it. That's a good thing to do. You want to recreate stress before you shoot. You don't want to shoot like with a cigar and, smiling. Think about somebody just trying to kill you. So you want to be tired. Probably you're going to be completely stressed out. So, full of adrenaline. Do 20 push-ups. And then you got your rifle there on the floor, on the ground, You got to load it up, run in the chamber, and boom. You can do a competition with your friends. 20 push-ups, chamber the round, and bang. Let's see who does fast, and measure the time. You will do 10 rounds. At the time you have done 100 push-ups. Think about it, with the fun. So you see, it can be fun. That's the type of workout I like. So just to share some ideas. And if you have other ideas, I love to hear from you. I really do. Send me an email, zan@zana.us. Now, before I close, I want to remind you, see, I'm not going to wait to have sponsors to find you great deals. I go out and I work hard to find you the best deals, like the Liberty ammunition I found you before. But I need your help. I got bills to pay too, and I have a life, and, this takes a lot of my energy. Normally my business, this is not my business. This is an act of love, but takes a lot of time from my life, my business. So I need your help to motivate me to be here. Please go to my website, at least one of my websites, for example, ZannaArt, ZANNAART.com. By the way, now I have new t-shirts coming. I have a copy of the Constitution, beautiful. Okay, that is going to be available for $10, but it's a parchment Constitution. You can put it on the wall. $10 also, you get a free song, We the People, and you support the show. You will find that on the homepage, okay? So I appreciate your help. Thank you very much. Don't be cheap. Seriously, if you appreciate you listen to the show, what it is for you, 99 cents? It is just the jest. You can get 99 cents a song, anything you want, any of my songs. If you want to spend $10, thank you very much, that too. And I'm not trying to beg for money. Honestly, I don't really need the money. It is about the principles, okay? The principles to say, thank you very much. I try to do my best and I appreciate your help. And support the KTOX. I can't believe they'll still let me talk here, okay? All right, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Ready for our number
3. Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. This is the hour about love. And you always say, my gosh, you stretch it so much. Normally we used to talk, and we still talk about dating, freedomlovers.us. I want to remind everybody who believes in freedom to find like-minded people today. It's easy, and it's free. You go to www.freedomlovers.us. Normally in this hour I also sing a serenade, I drink a bottle of wine, and maybe I give you some recipe of pasta. Fine. But at the end of the day, love, it's a big word, as I said. There is physical love, and there is also love for freedom, and there is love for the truth. And there is also love for learning from our own mistakes and being honest to try to improve ourselves. I believe this is part of loving to be a better person. Now, today it's a kind of interesting combination because I always say I use Facebook for a tool to find each other, like-minded people. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, we don't need to agree on everything. But when you go on Facebook and you're my friend, we have some things that we cannot dispute, okay? And one of that is 9/11, okay? If you think 9/11, it's some sort of 20 Arabs, with the box cutters, if you're ignorant, as I said, I want to help you out to fix the ignorance because I was ignorant too one day, so that's fine. But if you're an arrogant, unfortunately, you become part of the problem. So today I have a very interesting guy. He's a man that, first of all, is running for president. And that's kind of interesting because, we always hear the same names, the two parties or three parties. And more important, this is a human being that he had, as a regular person, like many of us, sometimes we make mistakes. And it's good to see people that they are prompt with that. I always said, we are not here to judge. Everybody can make mistakes. What I don't like when politicians, they want to act like holy and then they are pretty much, more scumbags than the average thief. Then we have a problem. But otherwise, I'm here to share your story. And also there's another topic I think is very important to talk to him. It's about 9/11, talking about the devil. Okay, his name is Ed Baker. Ed is here, and let me give him the floor. Ed, are you there?
I am.
Nice to meet you, Ed. First of all, I always mispronounce name and last name. I always double check with you. Please go ahead. What is your first and last name?
Sure, and it's pretty simple. It's Ed Baker, and it may end up on your ballot as Edward Baker.
Perfect. Ed, where are you from? Where are you located? In which part of these United States?
I live in Portland, Oregon, and I've lived in Oregon my entire life.
Okay, very interesting. Now, let's go straight to the point. You are running for president of these United States. And also you have a website that I would like everybody to go. Please give, first of all, your website so people can start to look what's going on. And then give us the short story. Why are you running for president? Go ahead.
Yes, on my website is edbaker2016.com. And that's the best place to go to find some information. And also, if you go onto Facebook, where you and I met, you can find my group page by putting in Ed Baker 2016 on Facebook, and that's another good place to go. But the website is edbaker2016.com. And the short version of why I'm running for president is that at the end of the day, I believe that the two people that come out of the Democrat and Republican primary, that the majority of people are not going to be satisfied with those two options, and they're going to want more choices. And I believe that too often the two choices that come out of that end up being very similar at the end of the day about who they're going to represent. You've mentioned already about 9/11. Neither of those parties are going to touch the reality of what happened on September 11th. We've had a president from both the Republican and Democrat since then, and they both have said almost verbatim not to allow yourself to question the official story of 9/11. Mm-hmm. So I think that is a reason right there to be looking for another option. I could become the first president since George Washington to not be a member of any political party. And I think that is something that would be very advantageous for Americans to have somebody that is much more neutral, somebody that can unite Americans. These other candidates seem to be very divisive. And if they have the R or the D next to their name, it sounds like they're saying, I'm going to represent this group of Americans and not this other group. And you just keep this neighbor versus neighbor thing going. My final thing I'll say on it in my introduction here is that nobody is going to agree with me on everything. It's very typical that someone will go down the issues and go, I agree with you on that, I agree with you on that, and then eventually they go, oh, you lost my vote. So, you're not going to have a perfect match to everything you want, but I think too often we have a president or other elected official where people it's really white or black. They just don't like them at all, or they like them. And in my case, just because you disagree with me on one issue doesn't mean we're not going to be right on the same page with the next 4 or 5 issues.
Okay. Let me stop you 1 second, Ollie. Before we start, I want to be honest because I like many topics that you're touching. I like your story. I think, I read a little bit about your bio, and then we can talk a little bit about yourself. You have some problems, with some addiction and some jail time. So you got some personal things that you went through. And I like the fact that you're honest about it. And, of course, you're there. I try to say, hey, guys, I'm here. I want to get better. That's fine. The only thing, I want to be very honest. We're talking about something that I think it's great what you're doing as an opportunity to make people understand that the way we have it is not the right way. It's an illusion, First of all, these two parties is pretty much controlled by the same masters behind. We understand that, but many people don't do yet. And also at the same time, we realize that, unfortunately, the difference is none. But at the same time, also, to be realistic, we're talking about facing a campaign that, it's only an act of God. If people want to believe in God or in a miracle anyway, will give you a chance to win enough delegates. Even to people know that you exist on the ballot. That's the bottom line. So why you're doing this? Because if you want to be, we want to be logical. From a point of view of admiration, I admire the fact that you're out there and at least you want to bring some issues and try to bring some reality to the conversation. But in a practical way, your odds to run against even the Libertarian Party. I mean, you said two parties. There are three parties. There is also the Libertarian Party. You are no party, and I like that, honestly. But at the same time, how can you reach millions of people? How can you get the delegates more important?
Okay, well, in my case, I don't have to win a primary like the candidates that are from those parties, you know, where they're doing these primaries across the country and all that. So, as I understand delegates, that's where that comes in, that they have to, you know, win a certain number of those in order to get the nomination for their party.
Yes.
I'm automatically in the general election. So I'm on November 8th. Some people get very confused by that, and they say, I didn't see your name on the primary ballot. Well, that's, you know, for one reason is that I'm not in any primaries. So I do have other challenges, though, to get on ballots. So every state, I know California, for example, I'm going to need 180,000 signatures to get on their ballot. My state of Oregon, it's 18,000. And that's verified signatures, so you can add another 25% to that to, you know, get that required number.
Yes.
So in order for that to happen, I have to have, you know, a number of volunteers, you know, out helping, and it's going to have to get very organized. And that's a huge challenge, getting that help. So the way I reach people is through social media, Facebook, like you and I met. I've got my group page on there with over 20,000 people on that page right now.
Interesting.
And again, that's Ed Baker 2016 on the groups page. And then also, you know, I do any interview that I'm able to get an opportunity to do where, you know, I don't care if they have 10 listeners or a million. I'm thankful for any opportunity to be introduced to people as an option. You know, so of course, it's tremendously challenging for anyone. I mean, Jeb Bush had unlimited resources practically, you know, and he ended up having to drop out because he wasn't getting any traction.
Well, you know what I can say? Ed, let me stop you one second. One thing I like about it, regardless what's going to happen at this point, you know, I still believe in miracles. Don't get me wrong. You know, I always say at least you have a chance. That's the point. If you were watching TV home and drinking fluoride, no, we had no chance at all. At least you're giving yourself one chance. Even if it's one in a million, you have a chance. That's
exactly.
That's the right attitude, in my opinion, to do things. But the most important thing, I hope that you're going to be able to at least engage in some media appearances, and more important, maybe we will never know, to get in some ballots, okay? In some states, getting there is possible, you know, if people move their asses. I mean, how many millions of people in America, just with one topic, understand that the official version of 9/11 was a fraud, that even my dog and my cat and my chickens understand that no logic and no law of physics and nothing applies to that. It's just a bunch of lies.
Right.
So just for that, I think millions of people should look into you to maybe say, you know what, I would give a vote just because of that. And that would be...
Yes, and there's other issues like that as well, which one of the issues that I had never really taken any time or much interest on until I started running for president. Somebody on Facebook talked about disclosure and specific to UFO-related matters. And I have never had an experience myself. I really didn't, spend much time on it, on that topic. But as I began researching it more, what I found is the people that are passionate about the truth about things like UFOs, or getting any information out there, we were really on the same page because I'm for a less secretive government. And so, I believe that we should be disclosing things unless it's something that puts our military or our national defense in direct danger. I think we need to have a more transparent government. And so we're really on the same page there too. There again, most candidates are not going to represent that percentage of Americans that want, that information. And so there's a number of things out there where I do differ from other candidates in that I will touch on some controversial issues, but things are very important. 9/11.
Let's start with this. I'm gonna, time is limited. I want to give you the chance to put out as much as we can. Okay. I want to give you some keyword, and you give the best shot to make your point. And the point is bringing logic and facts in what you propose. What you at least putting in your as the official points for your campaign. For example. And I've been talking about this many years before even I was on the show, but the point is still, unfortunately, there are many people out there, or that they're really afraid to face the truth, or maybe they're just too arrogant to even face it. So anyway, regardless, but you pointed out you want a real investigation about 9/11. I'll give you like 3 minutes, and I'm sure you can give us, I'm not going to stop you. You can say exactly why, in a very condensed way, we think we should not believe the official version of the government, and bring some logic from everything you can, from the Pentagon to Building 7, whatever you can with your brain and with your research. You have the floor. I will shut up for 3 minutes. Go ahead.
All right. Well, you just hit the two things that I talk about. So the one is the Pentagon. I do not believe that it was a Boeing 757 that caused the damage to the Pentagon. Was it a missile? Was it a smaller drone plane? The exact what it was, I don't have any other information other than, what I've seen on YouTube or what I've read. I have done some work with the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth and Richard Gage, who's going to be in Portland, Oregon, for a second visit here on April 2nd. I got to know him last year when he was in Salem, and he actually allowed me to speak to his audience and introduce myself as a candidate. So the other thing is the buildings, how they came down. I certainly do not believe the official story about what caused those buildings to come down, and you just talked about Tower 7, which wasn't even hit by a plane, came down several hours later. So who I listen to are the firefighters. I listen to the pilots who say that it would be impossible to fly a plane in the manner that it would have hit the Pentagon. And then also just the lack of wreckage, obviously, at the Pentagon. And then also the architects and the demolition experts who have spoke about how the buildings came down. So I just encourage, I'm sure, all your listeners probably already are on board to know that the official story is far from what really happened. Again, we have had two presidents, a Republican and a Democrat, that both told us not to question the official story. That's what got me questioning it, was when George Bush said that. I thought, that's really weird. And so I've spent probably 500 hours watching any video I can find and reading everything I can. I've talked to some family members who have lost loved ones. And also there's military people and firefighters and police officers that want answers, and we need to represent all those people.
Exactly.
We need to.
There is so much. This is like, you can spend 2 hours just to do a documentary about that. But, think about it. Just if I could give, and I want to reach out people that they have a good heart. If people they're evil and they try to deny the evidence because they have an agenda, there is no conversation. You are my enemy, simple as that. But if you're a good person, okay, and you understand that things can happen. I mean, evil can unfortunately take over governments. That's the part. This corruption is already happened. The false flag, it's not like a magic word. I mean, we have documents declassified, for example, like from the Kennedy era, like Operation Northwood. Everybody should Google it and find out. But now let's put it this way. People that they want to say, okay, I'm here, I want to have an open mind. Think about it. The Pentagon, for me, is one of the most powerful things right there. I mean, we're talking about, for the first time in the law of physics and the law of wrecking of airplanes, a plane completely disappearing. We're talking about a hole that's supposed to be, with a span of, the wings and the 2 titanium engines. And now we have the video, the evidence on YouTube that you can check directly from this first time only air on CNN video. Probably you watched that. The first few minutes before everybody comes there, CNN was there, and there was like only a 15-foot hole in the Pentagon wall. And where are the engines? Where are the bodies? There was nothing. I mean, that's an insult to intelligence, really. Even a immigrant like me that still have problem with English, I can understand that. I demand that every American went to school and maybe can read better than I do. You should be able to write a book about it. What type of fraud is there? So right there, I hope, go ahead, please.
Yeah, and then, you got the things like the passports just magically being found that supposedly fell out of the sky or something that belonged to the hijackers, and, just so many just crazy things like that. And it's such an insult, like you say, to the American people, and yet yet they're getting away with it. I mean, it's so 14 years later, this is the 15-year anniversary, and I'm thankful for all those people out there that have the 9/11 profile, 9/11 truth, thing for their profile picture, and all these people that are not letting this go 15 years later.
Can I say something just for this topic, just because you have the courage to bring this out, and I hope maybe one day you could reach the national media and engage in a debate the other candidates. That would be worth it. And I say why? Why so important, even 15 years later? Because this is exactly, first of all, let's talk straight. When somebody commit a crime, there is no expiration date, okay? Statute of limitations. This is a mass murdering crime, not just on our American people, but also on the millions of people that have been killed of these illegal wars. And more important now, they got away with huge murder. They got very confident that if they could do in plain view such atrocity, such mass murder, now the sky's the limit. So next time, it's not going to be 3,000 people with the 9/11. It's going to be maybe a couple town nuked or other things like that.
Exactly.
So we got
that's what I think. That's what I think is next, is some kind of nuclear thing. They talk so much about nuclear, things with North Korea, with all these other things where they talk nuclear, and then that's going to do a massive, massive scale thing, and they'll blame it on somebody else. And what I think also is, all these people that are not on board yet, that haven't done the research or won't accept, once the truth comes out, I don't think there's anything that can unite Americans more than the truth about 9/11 coming out. And there's going to be chaos and hysteria, right away, and a lot of people having to come to grips with the reality. But because of that, we're going to demand that those responsible are punished no matter who they are and what positions they held. And then also we're going to demand a less secretive government going forward, and also hopefully get rid of some of these freedom-stealing things like the NSA and the TSA and Department of Homeland Security and all these things that popped up as a result of 9/11.
Exactly.
And,
this is, for me, it's exactly the excuse. They needed it, as everybody understands, to destroy what was left of America as a free country, at least semi-free country we used to be. Because unfortunately the erosion of our rights, it didn't just start with 9/11. It was a long process, okay? But for sure, after 9/11, we've been completely gutted in our basic Bill of Rights. So now we see, Homeland Security, as you were saying, NSA spying on everything we do, no more Fourth Amendment, the Patriot Act, the National Defense Authorization Act 2012, we're living pretty much under already martial law. Anybody can disappear. I mean, look, they are arresting journalists, without any type of bail, just because they're covering or having opinions, can disagree with the government. This is already martial law. And they couldn't do that stuff before. Now they can, legally, according to their books. Listen, let's talk a little bit briefly about some other topics, because you don't just talk about 9/11. I think also this is, for me, would be the thing that could use a lot of commoning. We could get uniting behind that. I think would be powerful. But you talk about jobs, you talk about, for example, healthcare, illegal aliens. Let's start from the basic. First of all, jobs. What do you think really, president, if you were elected president, what would you do? Is really a role that the government should do anyway to create jobs, or not? Maybe just get out of the way.
Yeah. Well, number one is get out of the way, and I believe very much in state law or state, rights and letting. I don't think what works in one part of the country necessarily works in another part, and I don't think forcing somebody to do something, an entire state that might be opposed to something, I don't think that that's a good idea, because that creates a lot of resentment. But that being said, I think if we are in a position where we can maybe do some improvements to infrastructure that would have short-term and long-term benefits and be a good investment, I think we should work with states to put people to work, at any opportunity there. But more than anything, I'm for a smaller government. I think that whoever is still left in government needs to be American people working for American people. And I don't think that there should be so much of a difference where we're looking at them like they're the enemy or something. I think that we need to make sure that those that are in these government positions are actually representing and working for, the masses. And,
Exactly.
But to your point, I definitely, more than anything, it is get out of the way.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask, for example, there is now a lot of push from the federal government, and also already in some states, like I think Washington State recently, for example, Seattle, to push this minimum wage up to $15 an hour or whatever. I mean, this is my humble opinion, and then you have yours. I don't know exactly where you're coming from. But the point is, the government should have no business between a free contract, between a contract between two parties that they're doing it in a free will. So if somebody wants to work for me for $1 an hour, nobody's going to do that for sure. But the point is their stupidity allowing it. And of course, if I got a stupid person working for $1 an hour, it's going to be worth $1 an hour, and my company is going to go out of business probably. My point is, when the government starts to force anybody, in this case a business owner, to tell me how much should I pay, I think that's exactly what destroys freedom, starting from the first thing, and more important, what destroys the economy. What do you think about that? Should the government be involved in the wages?
I agree. I think that one of the examples I've used in the past is maybe I want to work part-time for a mom-and-pop store down the road, convenience store or something, and I just want to help them out, and I want to work, 1 day a week or a couple days a week. Why, for me, maybe working for $6 an hour, $7 an hour to help out that mom-and-pop store who's, so that they're not going out of business because there's a Walmart down the road or there's a whatever pharmacy down the road. Why not? Why am I being forced into that? Also, people getting experience, maybe their first job, starting out at a fast food or whatever. And by the way, I've known a lot of people, or I've went into fast food places, and a lot of those people work very hard. You're in positions where you're dealing with the public all day, and in a fast-paced environment. So I'm not trying to knock that kind of work, but there are different jobs that should pay a different wage from one to the next. And so I just saw a video from a man that works at a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he was testifying that he should be making $15 an hour. And he was in some kind of a, place to testify about that or whatever. And my thing is, some jobs don't pay that, or some jobs shouldn't pay that much money, and it just doesn't make sense.
And the point, it's called freedom to choose. At that point, if you don't like that, boss that pays you $10 an hour, you can find somebody else can pay you more. Go ahead. Nobody's forcing
somebody
you.
Else is going to pay more, and then if you're a more quality employee and a harder worker and more dependable, then you'll go get that job. So I definitely agree with you on that, and that's where I stand on the issue of the wages. I definitely think people should have more freedom to. Let me ask you something. Choose.
Let me ask you something. I didn't touch this yet. I'm just going through the most important things, at least for me, as like 9/11, things that really nobody wants to touch. Everybody's talking about, between the Republicans and Democrats, taxes. Of course, some of them, they want to increase taxes by 90%. Some maybe they want to increase taxes about 20%, 30%, doesn't matter. But the point, nobody really wants to touch the topic that before 1913, we did not have in these United States of America, when we were still a republic, an income tax. Because the Federal Reserve, the private Federal Reserve, did not exist. So, right now, people, they understand that pretty much the truth is that after 1913, we created the income tax to pay the debt, the interest on the debt. Right. For every dollar we print, the Federal Reserve, the private Federal Reserve prints, because now they have the magic power to print money out of thin air. So we, the slaves, we got to pay the interest, and that's pretty much what we do when we do pay our income tax. So instead of talking about, let's do more taxes, why don't we remove the Federal Reserve and we go back to printing our own money as a country so we don't need to pay the masters for the little magic printer? What do you think about that?
Yeah, and on my website, I'm pretty sure it's on my website where I have in the Federal Reserve, and I put that on my Facebook as well. One of my friends that I've met through this process and been on his radio show is named Michael Howell, and he has a show called Fighting the Tyranny, and I really have a lot of respect for him, and that's probably his biggest fight is the Federal Reserve. And to be honest with you, I don't exactly understand, because there's so much debt and that money doesn't even exist.
Exactly.
I don't know how you just push the stop button or what happens there. So I'm trying to get his help because he's I don't know if I should use the word expert, but he's certainly put in he may be an expert on the topic, certainly more than I am. And so I'm hoping to get his help and if there's listeners out there that have ideas yourself as well, always send that to me. My email is ed@edbaker2016.com. That's how I learn. Point me in those directions. But I do believe everybody that I've listened to, that I believe ending the Federal Reserve is very important.
Listen, it's funny. I met you through Facebook. I tell you, so far, I was ready to vote for my cat Gina because I wasn't really happy with any of these candidates. And I tell you, man, I think you're my ideal candidate. I wish now you had $100 million like Bush. That would be fun, know. But
well, and money is really tough in the campaign, obviously, and I'd hoped by now. I announced in January 2014 that I was running for president. I filed the paperwork with the FEC in August of that year, and I thought by now that I would have more of a viral response, and that we would be making more traction.
Mm-hmm.
But I still hope that'll happen. Opportunities like this give us a chance. You never know who's out there listening. I don't need the $100 million to compete. I think that at the end of the day, if we can get on ballots, and more than anything, that's man hours. It's volunteers in every state helping me to get out on the ground with petitions in hand and get signatures. And we need to work smart, where we're going to places where those people are and getting them signed up, and not wasting hours, out on the street. Not getting anywhere. Okay.
I like another thing before we go ahead. There are a lot of topics, and they're all pretty good. I tell you, man. One is reduce the annual foreign aid. What is your position on that?
Well, I believe it was something like $50 billion a year,
Mm-hmm.
and my main thing just is there's two things I'll say on it. One is that when they vote for that, they do it all as one bill. They don't go for each country thumbs up or thumbs down. So that's an issue. My main thing is that I want to put America first and the people of America first. It doesn't make sense to me that we have, $19 trillion of debt. We borrow money from China so that we can give it out to other countries. That just doesn't make a damn bit of sense to me.
Exactly. And this is sometimes a topic that I really, when I talk to some people that consider themselves conservatives, and they don't like socialism, like I don't, I believe in charity, not in government extortion. But when I look at that, there is something that makes no sense. It's almost illogical. So it's okay that we do not want to share, or at least we don't want to be forced to be having this sort of a government role in wealth redistribution. Fine, I agree with that. We should give it as a charity, and what is our work, we should never be forced. But then it's okay if the government get our money without our consent and start to spread them around, and pretty much it's not even our money, because as you said before, all we're doing, we go to the private Federal Reserve and we rack our credit card, means more debt, or we go to China. That's pretty much what we're doing. And we have to go to get this money or to Israel or to Palestine or to Egypt. I don't care which country. I don't care. This is not about Israel or it's about other countries. It's about I wouldn't like to give it to anybody, because they can go straight to China and get in debt with them. Why isn't the Constitution is written that we as Americans, we are forced to pay with our tax dollar, we get in debt to give money, billions of dollars and trillions of dollars in the last years to other countries. This is insanity. And you know what is said? Most of the stuff comes from both parties, and even the party that's supposed to be the conservative, with smaller taxation. If you say something about, hey, I'm tired to give, Israel can get a credit card and run away to China. Why should we go there?
Yeah.
And they get all mad. Yep. I mean, it's illogical. I mean, seriously, they got some sort of a mental problem, because if they want to believe that socialism is bad, this is like worse than socialism. At least technically socialism, you want to redistribute the wealth for your own people, that I still think is not right, but at least money stays here. Then instead they want for giving away to other countries that they are not part of this union. So that's pretty much, I think you got a great point there. I said zero, not even a penny to anybody out there. Everybody can go to get in debt with China or to a Federal Reserve that they have in the area. I'm sure they can find one.
I agree. The only thing that I'll say is, there may be an investment here and there that just makes sense, but I think that overall, the bottom line is we need to put our people first. And, when you see pictures of Michigan, or, you probably could pick almost probably any state and find a city or a street in that state where it looks like a third world country. And we need to take care of those people and not be as concerned. I want to just real quickly say what I was going to say, which was that, I don't need the $100 million to compete in this election. The thing is, at the end of the day, if we can get on ballots and get the word out that I am an option and here's where I'm different than these other candidates, I think some of that money that these people are spending is going to be the nails in their coffin, because we can run a competitive campaign on a relatable, responsible budget. And I think a lot of Americans are sick of this overspending. And so when they hear that some candidate brought in $20 million last month, or there's a billionaire running for president and all this sort of thing, I'm much more relatable to the average American, I think, that way.
Listen, all I say, people can laugh at me or can laugh at you, I don't care. At least you are not there like a zombie just taking it. You try as an individual, do everything you can. And the fact that even you can reach out a few thousand, or we never know, few millions, through the internet and in the Facebook and other social media, to show that that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed not to be just a few selected people that are not even close to be a regular person. I mean, these people, they're all pretty much already, it's like a game, a chess game. And if you're not part of the club, you're not part of this sort of a process. And also we know it's controlled. So I say we still need to find a way to bring especially these topics into this debate, because nobody wants to talk about it. I wanted to give you now just a few keywords. We talk about the foreign aid. I think you have a great point there. The taxation, I'm glad that you talk about the Federal Reserve in the right way, and of course 9/11. And another thing I was going to ask you briefly, for example, let's talk about the UFO. I think it's important, no secrecy. On top, supposed these people, they're supposed to work for us. I mean, I understand there are some stuff that, for national security, when it comes down really to compromising the troops or whatever, our soldiers or our national security, but this is different. Now, everything national security. I mean, everything that they want to, even the emails from what's her name, or Benghazi national security, they try to do everything. So we must stop this national security abuse. Now, ending Common Core, yes or no? I think no, pretty much. Why not?
No, yes, and Common Core.
Good.
I want to get federal government out of as much stuff. I think that should be decided at the community level. I don't think if you got a city full of parents together of kids that are in these schools, I don't think they're going to say, let's not challenge our kids. And I think we need to leave it up to teachers to have some control over how they teach, because they know what their skill sets are best at and how to convey this stuff.
And we know that
everything I've seen
it's a fraud. I mean,
very negative.
Common Core is pretty much an indoctrination. It's not about education. It's about controlling and as you say, when you shape the minds, there is no more really way that free thinking. It's just about it's being planned, like at the beginning of the century. I'm sure you're familiar. The Rockefeller Foundation decided to create these institutes to teach to the teachers. And what really they wanted, they didn't want free thinkers. They wanted workers. And that's what Common Core is. They want slaves for their corporation. That's pretty much what it is. So I'm glad you got it there right, too.
And another step to that, too, is not just the Common Core, but in general, you see all these stories in the news where a kid is suspended for, using their imagination or, having a sign of compassion for somebody else, or any of these emotions or any individuality, and they're suspended from school for it. They're punished for the most ridiculous things. And so there I also go, these teachers, so many of them should probably get paid more than what they do. But then we look at these ones that are in the news and you go, how did they ever get in a position where they're, having any influence on children? That's a pretty scary thing.
Speaking about teachers and children, did you hear the latest one? The FBI now orders the teachers to report any student who questions government. This is like almost out of the book 1984. Did you read this headline?
No, I hadn't seen that one yet.
Yeah, just Google it. It's out there. I mean, now if you, let's say, for example, you're a kid and you say you don't believe in 9/11, you think because after all your parents, they were smart enough to understand what's going on, you must be reported. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean,
and where's that going, because the thing is also that, anytime that somebody, for example, has a mental illness or everybody now gets put on prescription medications for, anything you can imagine. Everybody's got ADHD and everybody gets on depression medicine, all this stuff. And it's like, then they have the guns, which I know you're very passionate about as well. And it's like, if they're going to try to do any kind of gun control down the road where they go, nobody that's ever been on such and such medication can get a gun, it's the same type of thing. Now you got these databases that they're compiling where they know who's been on this and who said this.
And that's exactly Common
that's
Core.
Very scary.
And that's Common Core, the data mining that they do, they want to collect all this information, starting from your family, and like you have little spies that they must report to the government. This is insane.
Right.
Okay, great. Now, another keyword, very important. Marijuana legalization. My question always is, who owns our body, us or the government?
Yeah. Us. And the only thing that I'll say is that I don't take it so far as for things like crack cocaine and heroin. I'm not okay with I don't feel comfortable saying that I think people should be able to take those drugs, or certainly not to be able to sell them, just because I've talked to so many people that have had their lives shattered because of those kind of drugs. But when it comes to things like marijuana, I've always been supportive of legalizing it. I do believe it should be state by state voted on. It took a long time for Oregon, where I live, to legalize it. I know it took many years and many elections, but eventually it was legalized. I don't think that we should go to a state that would be completely opposed to that and say you are now mandatory to legalize this. Similar with the gay marriage, which I'm all for equality, but I did not like when the Supreme Court came out and said the entire country will honor gay marriage, because, somebody maybe in Oklahoma or South Carolina, maybe the majority of people in that state are opposed to that, and now you're being told by the federal government this is how it is.
One question I have for you, and I agree with you. First of all, I don't take any drugs. My only drug is coffee and wine, okay? But that's not the point. The point is, if somebody wants to grow a plant, shouldn't be a criminal, number one. Maybe sometimes, people likes to grow, I don't know, daisy or roses. And maybe sometimes people likes to grow marijuana, okay? No, there is no victim, there is no crime, number one. Like the wine, if I drink a bottle of wine, and if I am home, and in the safety of my home, nobody should bother me. I'm fine. If I drink the bottle of wine and I go behind the wheel, at that point it becomes very dangerous, and I shouldn't be doing that. I should be punished. Fine. Same story with if you smoke a herb, in this case, like marijuana. But more important, think about it. During the Prohibition, the federal government has to do some sort of an amendment to the Constitution to prohibit something that I still think is wrong, because nobody should tell me I cannot drink wine. That's insane. I'm going to become a number one criminal out there. That happens again. But regardless, my point is that at least they had to do an amendment. Now instead with the plant, and many times also with drugs, let's say, for example, you want to cure yourself in a different way, not approved and not blessed by the FDA, the mafia, the legalized mafia of the FDA, you go to jail. They should do an amendment also for the marijuana if they really want to try to push that in that direction. But I agree with you. State should be there to do what used to be as under the 10th Amendment. At the same time also say, and then I would debate that with the state. If I am there is no victim, there is no crime. If I am at home, if I am in a safe environment, if I want to get stoned and I have the money to do it and I am responsible for my own actions, that means if I get sick, I'm going to pay my bills, I shouldn't be criminalized for sure. I shouldn't become a felon or things like that.
My rapid fire 3 things on real quick. One is that I personally don't use marijuana. I have tried it in my younger years, but I worked with so many people that use marijuana, and I had no idea that they did until I went to a party and it went around and all these people smoked it. So I don't associate marijuana with the lazy teenager on the couch not doing anything. Most of the people that I know that have used marijuana are everyday working, functional people. First of all. Secondly, what you just said about the drugs, that they're doing that instead of taking prescription medication. And I say more power to them, but that's one reason why they don't want it to be legal.
Exactly.
Because they want to And then the final thing, rapid fire number 3, is that the incarcerated statistics that I've seen is that there's 40,000 people at any given time incarcerated with a marijuana-related conviction, and 20,000 of those people only have a marijuana-related conviction. Now, so long as you have these private prisons, for-profit prisons, that have these agreements that they're going to stay 95% full, occupied, they're not going to want to, have these people go free, and they want to keep people in the system and make them pay the probation fees and all this stuff.
Wow, great. Another topic. This is very we really dear about many of us, at least people that listen to the show. What do you think about the government now? For example, starting from some states like California and some other states on the East Coast, and also a proposal from a congresswoman from Florida to mandate vaccines to any child who attend public school. What do you think about that?
No. It's Sean Carone with the Awakening Liberty Show. I hope you don't mind. I'm dropping a couple shows on here, but I really respect him, and he takes a very strong stand against the forced vaccinations. And I certainly agree. From everything that I've seen, one of the things is that if you get your kid vaccinated and you have a problem with someone else not getting their kid vaccinated, your vaccination must not work very well, right?
Exactly.
So, that I agree with that. I think that's a really good argument. But, when so many people come back and have autism or other problems from, as a reaction to getting the vaccine, I have no doubt that there's some form of population control going on or otherwise fertility thing going on, and I think the vaccines is a very likely place where that's happening.
Listen, I want to thank you. You got a lot of great topics that I wish really in a miracle. That's all I can say. Now, I want to do one more thing. I would like you give one more time your website, and then I give you, like I do with every guest, the last 60 seconds. Just stay with 60, please. You can say whatever you want. Go ahead. Your website, and I give you the floor.
Okay. So my website's edbaker2016.com, and it's also a really good idea for you to find me on Facebook. Again, Ed Baker 2016 is how you'll find me on there as well. You're giving me the 60 seconds here, and one of the things that you spoke about in the beginning we really didn't cover is my criminal history and addiction. And so I'm going to take a couple seconds here just to say that I had basically a lifelong gambling addiction, and as that progressed, I ended up committing a felony, getting into money that was not mine, and as a result, I was convicted, and I did 15 days in jail. I had a couple years of probation. Bottom line is I got the help I needed for the addiction, and I no longer gamble, and I'm in a lot better place now than I was then. As a result of a lot of things, I became homeless for 14 months.
Wow.
I overcame that as well. And so, look, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I'm not going to let that stop me going forward. I've learned a lot because of this, and I admit my mistakes. I really appreciate anyone out there that heard me today that might be inspired and might say, it's a long shot, it'll take a miracle, but I want to get on board with this. Not voting, I don't think, is the answer. I don't think that sends the message. I think you're better off voting for anyone else, even writing in somebody to show where you're at,
And I'm glad that you said that, because it's very important. And I tell you, but compared to some of our politicians that they have blood on their hands and they're still running around running for president, you look like a saint, okay? But more important, seriously, the point is, I think the honesty is the most important thing. We are human beings, and sometimes we make mistakes. Important thing is not when you fall, but how you get up. You stand up again from your knees, and you start to go back and try to improve and learn from your mistakes. So I give you credit also for that, and I really appreciate you, and I wish you my best, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And by the way, we're going to have now a little call. We're going to have a couple of extra news. But before we go ahead, don't forget there are some exciting news. I have my coffee line, coming out. And I like espresso, you know that. I drink a lot of that. So I wanted to do a great research from, the best coffee from around the world. And I found the perfect formula for an organic coffee espresso that you can also use for American coffee, because it's going to be sold in beans, coffee beans. So you can grind it the way you want it. Now, I give you the magic website. It's going to be there. I'm start to take pre-orders. And exactly it's called zannacoffee.com. Zanna, like my last name, coffee.com, organiccoffee.tv. Now, the coffee, what it does, not only you get a great deal, you get the best coffee, I really believe, for the money. Doing so, you also support the show. As you know, this is no NPR. It gets your tax dollar. We work for living here as regular people, and I always want to bring you products or services that are worth your money. So please, I appreciate your support. Go to zannacoffee.com, organiccoffee.tv, otherwise you can go to lovegunsfreedom.com. There is a link, and try to buy or pre-order maybe a couple of pounds. And you tell me what you think about it. Now, the important thing, when you get a pound of coffee, you also get free songs. That's another beautiful little thing. Now, don't go away. We got a little break, and then we got more news going. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
You're gone, far away, I'm all alone, that's my way. I remember the words you said, the last fight that we had. I feel sorry, baby, please don't be sad, please don't be sad. Time, it never stops, it fades away. All I have left is yesterday. I'll remember until I die, love shining in your eyes, all the dreams we had. But I made you cry, I made you cry. Life without you, I hope you don't miss me, baby, like I miss you inside of me. I will keep alive our memories and love until I die, until I die. Now that you're gone, far away, I'm all alone, that's my way. I just hope we could be friends. Every dream has an end. Oh, my love, now you're gone.
Goodbye. He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and
Here we go,
Freedom.
guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, final part of final hour today's broadcast with Luca Zanna. First of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for listening. You know, sometimes I always ask myself, why even people listen to me? Seriously. After all, I consider really myself like a very regular person but you know, as I said, we need regular person now, regular people doing extraordinary things. Because the times we are living, we need every one of us must try to do whatever they can, whatever you can, to try to expose this completely global tyranny that is upon us. And you know, you will see more and more. This is no more a conspiracy. It's happening. They try to, things that normally you never could believe would happen, they're happening. They're putting people in prison because, for example, they're growing vegetables on their front yard. Mothers, they're spending time in jail, they're getting arrested because the kids, they're not going to school maybe for 3 absences. I mean, people are collecting water, rainwater, getting in prison. I mean, this is coming to every level, every level. This is not an accident, okay? It's going to get worse and worse. Now, what I say, you know, we must find a way to engage, to fight, expose all this tyranny, all this evil. At the same time, try to keep our humanity, try to keep our quality of life. And as I said, you know, there is a little micro world we can create. We may not change Washington, we may not change the whole world. Maybe I don't want to change the whole world. I would like just to keep America the way it used to be. That's my goal. And I hope every other man and woman around the world can do the same for their country. But my point is, we must find a way also to enjoy life. That's why before I talk to you about that new coffee line, I always try to find a way to meanwhile we are fighting, to enjoy life. And the idea of the Zanna coffee, it is a coffee to, let's say, pursue liberty, to pursue happiness. And that's pretty much the idea, and the little joys of life. And I would like to leave you today with a little poem that I wrote about happiness. Sometimes, you know, we're looking for happiness in big things. You know, we think, oh, one day I will be happy. One day I will retire. One day I'll go to that vacation. One day I will have a lot of money. Guess what? You don't need that. You can be happy right now with small little things. And that's the way really I learn in life, to find my happiness. Every moment, every second, regardless where I am. So all I said, sometimes, you know, you can walk on your feet. You're healthy. Guess what? You should be already happy. You have a lot. Think about if you had nothing, like not your health. You could even walk. How much just sometimes a little back pain. How much miserable a toothache. Your life is ruined. You don't care about anything else. So when you're healthy, when you have your health, you can take care about everything else. You can look at life with a smile. You should. So happiness, small little things like my little coffee or a glass of wine. This is a little poem I wrote a few years ago, and it's going to be published in the coming book, Lyrics and Poems by Luca Zanna, almost ready. A glass of wine, the smell of coffee, my mother's pasta, a kiss from you. My cat is purring, the birds are singing, a brand new gun, the sky is blue. Smiling at the sun, driving my truck, praying to God, searching the truth. Happiness by Gianluca Zanna. God's willing, I will talk to you next time. Ciao.